Welcome to the Lin family drama show. We got Lin Yunkai, smug as ever, telling his pops that his master plan is working. He's about to secure the bag, Zener, and the city's power. Meanwhile, Dad is sitting on his throne like some final boss, chilling with two ladies at his side. Peak villain energy. Yunkai is hyping himself up like he's the protagonist of his own story. Bro really thinks he's untouchable. He's talking about controlling Liu Yun City through marrying into the City Lord's mansion. Man is on some next-level corporate takeover energy. Lin Defu, aka Daddy Lin, is loving it. Big Dude is laughing his belly off, hyped for his son's power-hungry ambitions. He's literally feasting like a king while his cronies keep him entertained. Uh-oh, plot disruption incoming. A massive crash echoes through the hall. Everyone freezes. Daddy Lin's good mood? Gone. His face says, "Who the hell dares to interrupt my villain arc?" Bruh. They have no idea what's coming. Someone gets yeeted through the door, literally sliding across the floor. Man's clearly taken the L big time. Daddy Lin and his son Yunkai jump out of their skin. The vibes instantly went from chill villain energy to panic mode real quick. They're shouting, shook AF about who dares disturb them. Enter Bai Yifan, swagger on max, calmly stepping in like he owns the place. Casual flex with the sword too, as he coolly acknowledges Yunkai with a vibe of, "Sup, remember me?" Action time! Yunkai bolts forward, weapon ready, convinced he's about to easily clap Bai Yifan. Dude's about to find out the hard way. Lin Yunkai confidently charges at Bai Yifan, thinking he's about to flex his skills. Dude really believes he's got this in the bag. Bai Yifan effortlessly blocks the attack, calm as ever. It's a major vibe check moment, basically showing Yunkai he's nowhere near his level. Instant karma. Yifan snaps Yunkai's wrist midair like it's a twig. Man went from cocky to crying real quick. Big yikes energy right here. Lin Yunkai is totally shook, staring at his broken hand in horror. He's probably questioning all his life choices right now. Bai Yifan is stone cold, totally unbothered. His face basically says, "This is just the warm-up," hinting there's way more pain on the way. Revenge mode. Activated. Bai Yifan's flexing hard, casually letting Lin Yunkai know he's not just breaking hands. Legs are fair game too. Man's really said, "Your limbs, mine now." Bai Yifan slams down Yunkai, shattering his legs on impact. Brutal AF. Dudes out here ending whole careers in seconds. Lin Yunkai's curled up, absolutely wrecked and screaming in pain. Definitely regretting his life choices. Instant regret vibes. No cap. Lin Defu, Yunkai's dad, panics hard, yelling for his son. He went from chilling on the throne to full freak-out mode. Man just realized he's next on Yifan's list. Lin Yunkai, despite being totally trashed, yells at his dad to escape and get back up. He's legit sacrificing himself, hoping Pops can dip and find help. Desperation hitting different right now. Lin Defu dips immediately, leaving his son behind. Loyalty who? Dude's not sticking around to find out how this ends. Bai Yifan rushes like a boss, catching up instantly with Lin Defu. Man's really said, "You thought you could ghost me?" Lin Defu panics big time. Bai Yifan's like, "Bro, where you think you're going? We got unfinished business." Yifan grabs Defu by the throat like it's nothing, lifting him up effortlessly. Defu's straight choking and looking mad scared. Defu desperately tries dropping threats, claiming he's backed by the City Lord. Man's acting tough even while being choked out. Peak desperation moment. Yifan's face darkens with pure menace, clearly not impressed. He's legit unfazed by Defu's threats, energy screaming, "And what about it?" Bai Yifan sarcastically responds, hitting that cold, "Oh," energy, basically saying, "City Lord who? Watch me handle him too." Confidence level. Unmatched. Lin Yunkai desperately flexes his status, hoping it'll scare off Bai Yifan. Bro really thinks name-dropping will save him. Bai Yifan gives zero chill, crushing Lin Defu's throat like snapping a twig. Man's brutality mode activated. Lin Yunkai's eyes widen in horror, screaming, "Dad!" like reality just slapped him, hard. Bai Yifan casually tosses the lifeless body aside, hitting the floor with a chilling thud. Yifan's cold stare says, "Who's next?" Bai Yifan calmly turns to Lin Yunkai, basically saying, "Oh, you want to test me? Bet, let's see if your threat's worth anything." Absolute menace vibes. Lin Yunkai's totally shook, freaking out cause he didn't think Bai Yifan had the guts. Man's realizing his flex just failed hard. Yifan's looming over him like a boss. Yunkai's in full-on panic, begging on his knees like his life's flashing before his eyes. Yifan's got that cold smirk, roasting Yunkai's generous offer. Basically saying, bro, your entire fortune's just my pocket change. Yifan casually drops facts about his medicine, flexing that a single pill could buy out Yunkai's whole lineage. Talk about a power move. Yunkai's hitting peak desperation mode, sobbing and begging Yifan for mercy. Man's ego shattered to dust, pride left the chat. Bai Yifan's ice-cold stare is on full display, basically telling Lin Yunkai, apologies? Nah, your life is the only real atonement. With one swift move, Yifan ends it. Yunkai's body collapses lifelessly, justice served cold. Walking away without a second glance, Yifan's focused, calm, ready for what's next. No regrets. Yifan, now fully locked in, sets his eyes on the city lord's mansion. Dude's got no chill left, he's coming for everyone involved. A panicked subordinate rushes into the castle town hall shouting about an emergency, clearly freaked out. The city lord sits up instantly, glaring fiercely. He knows it's serious. The city lord, looking intense and clearly pissed, demands a full breakdown. He's already sensing big trouble. The messenger nervously explains Bai Yifan's rampage at the Lin's place and advises locking down the city immediately. This guy knows things are about to escalate big time. The orders are in. Mobilize the troops. The city lord's command is absolute, and now the guards are getting ready to storm the Lin estate. Bai Yifan isn't walking away from this one. The soldiers march in perfect sync, weapons gleaming, their faces set with deadly determination. This isn't just some random scuffle, it's a manhunt. The commander is fuming. How is this kid still alive? He was supposed to be dead, yet here he is, tearing through the city like a storm. No time for confusion, though. Action is needed. Hoofbeats thunder as reinforcements arrive. A high-ranking officer grips the reins, his expression stone cold. The city is on full lockdown, and the gates won't let a single rat escape. A final round of orders is given. Security at the mansion must be tight. No slip-ups, no second chances. The moment Bai Yifan makes a move, it's over. And just like that, the army is in motion. Rows of armored soldiers march forward, their banners flying high. The entire city is bracing for impact, because this fight, it's about to be legendary. A baddie with wild purple hair is chillin' like she owns the place. Because let's be real, she probably does. She's got that smug, I knew this was gonna happen energy, while some official dude spills the tea. Lin Yunkai's dad, Lin Defu, is out here causing chaos in the city. She listens, but you can tell she's unbothered, more entertained than anything. Big dude in armor steps up, all serious and respectful. He's not here for small talk. The way he's standing? Yeah, this guy means business. The room's got that something big is about to go down vibe, and everyone knows it. Behind him, a squad of soldiers stands like they're ready to drop into a boss fight. The general lays it out. They're hunting a high-profile target, someone the whole city's got their eyes on. The air, thick with tension. This ain't just another day in the office. Now she's outside, looking all majestic with the whole squad behind her. She's like, y'all stay here. If I need you, I'll call. Confidence on max. She's clearly got this under control, and she's not about to let anyone step on her moment. As she walks through the courtyard, her mind's racing. Her dad's always been that guy. Powerful, unpredictable, and straight up terrifying. No shocker that his actions are shaking up the whole city. She knew this day was coming. She takes one last look at the estate, thinking about her father's 4 generals. These aren't just some mid-tier warriors. Nah, these dudes are built different. Each one could solo an army, and now they're in play. Yeah, things just got real. Pink-haired Princess of Chaos stands tall, radiating big boss energy. But nah, she's not just standing. She's fuming. Someone dared to mess with her territory? The nerve. She's already plotting how to make them wish they were never born. A servant, all formal and respectful, presents a wardrobe full of extravagant outfits. This isn't just fashion. This is a whole power statement. The question is clear. How do you want to flex today, my lady? Her gaze sharpens as she spots that dress. The irritation is instant. Why is this still here? The very sight of it ruins her mood, and you just know this is about more than just clothing. The servant quickly tries to explain. Mr. Lin said it's valuable. Bad move. Mentioning him only makes her more annoyed. Her face is set like stone now, the kind of look that says someone's about to have a very bad day. Then the real anger boils over. The thought of Mu Ruyu? Disgusting. The mention of Bai Yifan? Infuriating. That guy stole something she clearly considers hers, and she is not the forgiving type. If she ever sees him again, it's on sight. She's ready to take his head, no hesitation. Two unlucky souls hit the floor with a plop. Their bodies are motionless, and it's clear they just got dropped hard. Whoever did this? Yeah, they're not playing around. The pink-haired menace struts in, completely unbothered. She stands tall in the middle of the room, staring down at the two unconscious figures. But her confidence is about to take a serious hit. Bai Yifan, lurking like a shadow, tilts his head down toward her. His voice is cold, mocking. She wanted his head? All right then. How exactly does she plan to cut it off? That pivot in her expression. Yeah, she did not see this coming. She stumbles back, genuinely shook. How the hell did he get in here? The city lord's mansion is supposed to be an impenetrable fortress, yet here he is, standing inches from her, completely unfazed. Bai Yifan steps forward, full confidence, full menace. City lord's mansion? He doesn't care. This place might as well be his living room the way he's moving. The pink-haired woman is backing up now, her arrogance evaporating. Yeah, she's realizing she messed up badly. Miss Lan completely loses it. Her composure? Gone. Her arrogance? Evaporated. She's straight up screaming, panic setting in as she realizes she's in way over her head. This isn't just some minor inconvenience. This is a full-on nightmare. Bai Yifan, calm as ever, shuts her down with a cold stare. There's zero emotion on his face. No need for theatrics, no need for shouting. He's got this under control. And she? Yeah. She's just another problem he's about to handle. Then, boom. The bodies of her so-called elite guards are revealed, slumped over, motionless, done for. These were blood transfusion realm cultivators, supposedly top-tier warriors, and Bai Yifan erased them like they were nothing. The reality hits her like a truck. She's completely paralyzed, her body shaking as she processes what just happened. This shouldn't be possible. A full squad of elite guards wiped out silently? In seconds? Yeah, she's terrified now. Bai Yifan takes a step forward, casually gripping his sword. His aura is suffocating. This isn't a fight, this is a lesson, and she's about to learn why she should have listened when he told her not to mess with him. Bai Yifan stands tall, his sword leveled right at Miss Lan's neck. There's no hesitation in his voice as he calls her out. She and Lin Yunkai destroyed the village, and now, with Lin Yunkai already dead, it's her turn to face judgment. Miss Lan instinctively stumbles back, the confidence she had just moments ago completely shattered. Her breath catches in her throat. How did things flip so fast? The realization hits her like a brick wall. She thought she was in control, but now she's the one trapped. Panic takes over. Desperate, she pleads for her life, her voice trembling. She's only 18, she says. She'll do anything he wants, anything, just to be spared. She's throwing out whatever she can, hoping it'll stick. Bai Yifan doesn't even flinch. His eyes hold no sympathy, only cold determination. He reminds her of Ruo Ruo, just 13 years old, and she burned her. Miss Lan's fate is already sealed, and his voice makes it clear. No amount of begging will change that. She doubles down on her desperation, her words tumbling over each other. She's a virgin, she blurts out, as if that'll buy her mercy. She's reaching, grasping for anything that might make him hesitate. But the look in his eyes says it all. Miss Lan screams as she falls to the ground, completely overwhelmed. Her once composed demeanor is shattered, fear and disbelief written all over her face. Bai Yifan looks down at her, unimpressed. He mocks her desperation, reminding her how pathetic she looks now, begging for mercy after acting so high and mighty. He doesn't stop there. He raises his sword, letting her know this isn't over. His expression is cold, determined. She's nothing more than an insect beneath his feet. Miss Lan trembles, her body reacting before her mind can process. She instinctively falls to her knees, as if submission is the only way to survive. But Bai Yifan isn't done humiliating her. He smirks, recalling how she once claimed he wasn't even worthy of touching her shoes. Now, he orders her to lick them clean. Her eyes widen in pure rage and humiliation. She clenches her fists, struggling between pride and survival. How did it come to this? Bai Yifan leans in, unwavering. His voice is calm, almost amused. He's just giving her what she asked for. Wasn't she the one who looked down on him before? Now she has the chance to prove how lowly he truly is. Miss Lan hesitates, her whole body shaking. She looks like she just got hit with the ultimate reality check. Pride, dignity, gone. She knows she's completely screwed, but she's still hoping for a miracle. Tears start building up in her eyes. Her hands ball into fists, nails digging into her palms. She doesn't want to do this. But what's the alternative? Getting obliterated? She sucks in a shaky breath, forcing herself to submit. She moves in slowly, her hands trembling. Every step feels like walking barefoot on glass. Her entire being is screaming at her to run, but she knows she won't make it 2 steps before he cuts her down. So she swallows her pride and follows through. Bai Yifan stands over her like a god passing judgment. No sympathy, no hesitation, just straight-up dominance. His eyes scream, "You did this to yourself." He's already decided. She's beneath him now, and there's no coming back from that. She's shaking so bad she can barely move. Every moment feels like an eternity. She absolutely hates this, but what choice does she have? Survival over pride, right? That's what she keeps telling herself. Half an hour later, Miss Lan slumps back, looking completely defeated. Her face is red, whether from shame, anger, or exhaustion, probably all 3. She mutters something under her breath, but it's not like she can do anything about it now. Bai Yifan barely even looks at her. To him, she's nothing. Just another obstacle he's crushed on his way forward. No more words. No more threats. She's dismissed, like trash being kicked to the curb. Just as she thinks she's free, bam. Something slams into her out of nowhere. Her body flies through the air, eyes wide in pure shock. She thought she was getting out of this? Nah. Bai Yifan still has unfinished business. And then, slash. A blinding white arc cuts through the air. Bai Yifan doesn't hesitate, doesn't give her another second to beg. His sword moves fast, clean and precise. Miss Lan barely even processes what's happening before her throat is gone. Blood spills, her body seizes, then stills. That's it. Game over. She's dead for real. No second chances, no redemption. Just cold, brutal karma. Meanwhile, outside, the whole security squad is pulling up, ready for action. The street is loud with armored footsteps, people whispering, tension building. The whole place is on high alert. Whatever's happening, it's big. The city lord hears the commotion and immediately looks irritated, like someone just interrupted his nap. But as his men rush over, panic in their voices, his face darkens. This isn't just some random street fight. Something serious is going down, and he feels it. He tries to play it cool, waving off the situation like it's no big deal. But his eyes say otherwise. His instincts are screaming at him. This isn't normal. There's something off about this whole thing, and it's making his skin crawl. And then, boom, reality hits. His soldiers report a full-blown massacre. The street, lined with bodies. Whoever did this didn't just win. They wiped out everyone like it was nothing. The city lord's stomach drops. One of the guards stands over the fallen soldiers, gripping his weapon tight. His voice is calm, but you can tell he's shaken. This wasn't just any attacker. This was someone different. Someone who didn't even break a sweat, taking down an entire squad. And worst of all, they're still coming. The city lord's face is pure shock. His eyes widen, his jaw clenches. He's just been hit with the worst news possible. Whatever he thought was happening, it's way worse than that. His mind is racing, trying to process the situation. Then it clicks. It's a trap. His eyes flare with panic as he instantly kicks his horse into motion. No hesitation. He needs to get back home ASAP. If Bai Yifan really made a move, everything could be falling apart right now. The entire squad sprints into action. Horses charge forward, hooves pounding the ground. The city lord yells for everyone to move faster. The urgency is real. They're in full-blown crisis mode. Meanwhile, one of the generals watches the chaos unfold, eyes locked on the city lord. He knows something's up. The moment the city lord panicked, everything shifted. He turns, ready to figure out what the hell just went down. But the city lord doesn't care. He's too focused, yelling for every soldier to fall in line and move out. He's not taking any risks. All hands on deck. This is way bigger than anyone expected. The soldiers immediately snap to attention. No questions, no hesitation, just pure obedience. In an instant, the entire army mobilizes. Whatever's happening back home, they need to handle it. Now, the city lord rushes in on horseback, his cloak billowing behind him. His grip on the reins is tight, his face twisted in urgency. He knows something's wrong. He can feel it in the air. As he approaches, his eyes widen in horror. The gates are open. The atmosphere is off. There's a lingering sense of destruction. His worst fears are coming true. Then, he sees it. The lifeless bodies of Shinner and the others are hanging, swaying gently in the breeze like a twisted display of dominance. Their faces frozen in their final moments, their bodies a grim reminder of what just happened. The city lord's breath hitches. Standing at the entrance, Bai Yifan is waiting. Calm, composed, like he orchestrated all of this. The city lord's veins pop from his forehead, his expression morphing into pure hatred. His voice shakes with fury. He's not here to negotiate. He's here for blood. This isn't just about revenge. This is personal. With a surge of raw power, the city lord launches himself at Bai Yifan. Energy crackles around him, his entire being fueled by pure, unfiltered rage. He's out for blood. Bai Yifan stands firm, his sword surging with crackling blue energy. His presence alone screams confidence. He's in control. The city lord? Just another stepping stone in his path. With a flick of his wrist, Bai Yifan unleashes sword rain. Blue bullets of energy fire in rapid succession, streaking toward the city lord like a merciless storm. No escape. The city lord dodges in a panic, his heart pounding as the bullets barely graze him. His mind races. This is insane. Bai Yifan's skill is on another level, and he didn't see it coming. Wasting no time, the city lord quickly regains his stance. He plants his feet, fists tightening around his weapon. This is no ordinary fight anymore. Bai Yifan isn't just strong, he's terrifying. The realization hits him like a punch to the gut. Sword rain, one of the top-tier techniques. A technique that should take at least a year to master. But Bai Yifan? He did it in less than 2 months. The city lord's confidence starts to crack. Bai Yifan smirks, reading him like an open book. He already knows he's won. The city lord thought he was at the top, but in this fight, he's already playing catch-up. Bai Yifan isn't just defending himself, he's flexing. The city lord grins, eyes burning with arrogance as he finally acknowledges Bai Yifan's strength. So this is why he's been unstoppable, but instead of fear, there's excitement. He's been waiting for a worthy fight. With a roar, the city lord's entire body ignites in a crimson blaze. Power surges through his veins, muscles expanding, aura thickening. He's cranking up to his full power. This isn't just a fight anymore. It's a battlefield. Bai Yifan stays cool, gripping his sword tight. No hesitation. He's already adapting, already a step ahead. His eyes lock on the raging beast before him, and without skipping a beat, he counters. Stormy rain sword technique, second form. Blue energy explodes, forming a spiraling storm of countless sword bullets. Each one precise, each one deadly. This isn't just an attack, it's a freaking massacre in the making. The city lord's cocky grin vanishes. His pupils shrink as the reality slaps him in the face. He wasn't ready for this. The moment he sees Bai Yifan's move, his instincts scream danger. But is it too late? The city lord grits his teeth, his entire body surging with crackling blue lightning. He's taking heavy hits, but he's not backing down. Desperation fuels him, his muscles tense as he prepares for a counterattack. This fight isn't over. Bai Yifan stands unfazed, his sword steady. This is nothing to him. His calm demeanor only makes the city lord's frustration worse. He's not even breaking a sweat. The city lord gathers his remaining energy, purple and blue lightning exploding from his palms. His power is at its limit. He's got one last shot. With a fierce roar, he unleashes a devastating lightning-infused attack, sending cracks of energy tearing through the battlefield. His power shakes the ground, as if trying to defy the inevitable. But Bai Yifan? Still standing, his expression unbothered. The sheer confidence in his eyes says it all. This is just another move he'll counter effortlessly. The city lord, drenched in sweat, laughs like a madman. He's out of options, but he refuses to believe it's over. He's forcing himself to fight, even when the outcome is already set in stone. Bai Yifan unleashes a flurry of piercing blue sword energy, each strike cutting through the air like a relentless storm. The city lord is caught in the onslaught, his body ripped apart by the sheer force, blood spraying as he lets out a tortured scream. As the attack dies down, the scene shifts. The city lord barely stands, his face frozen in shock. His body trembles, his breath ragged. He just realized it. He's completely outmatched. The city lord unleashes a devastating purple energy attack, his power surging as he goes all in. The battlefield crackles with intensity, the sheer force of his move warping the air around him. He's aiming to end this right here, right now. Bai Yifan dashes back, his body weight shifting as he tries to evade the deadly attack. His instincts scream at him. This isn't something he can take head-on. He needs a new plan, fast. The purple energy explodes on impact, sending shockwaves through the battlefield. The ground splits, the force so immense it shakes everything in its path. Bai Yifan is dangerously close. Too close. The city lord laughs like a maniac, eyes burning with confidence. To him, Bai Yifan's just another brat, another bug crushed beneath his overwhelming power. As the dust clears, Bai Yifan emerges, completely unscathed. But something's different. His aura shifts, his presence sharper. The city lord squints, confusion creeping in. Something isn't right. The city lord glares at Bai Yifan, his eyes narrowing in disbelief. He was sure that last attack would have crushed him. Yet here he is, standing like nothing happened. Something's off. Bai Yifan activates his talisman, golden energy erupting around him. His aura surges, filling the battlefield with an overwhelming presence. He's about to turn the tables. The talisman's power floods his body, his strength multiplying in an instant. Flames surround him, his entire form radiating a dangerous glow. This isn't just a buff, it's a complete transformation. With zero hesitation, Bai Yifan charges forward. The city lord flinches, caught off guard by how much stronger he's become. This wasn't what he expected. Not at all. Bai Yifan raises his blade, blue energy swirling as he unleashes his third form technique. The sheer force of the attack distorts the air, locking onto the city lord like an unstoppable force. A massive whirlpool of energy erupts, the sky itself shaking as Bai Yifan's stormy rainsword technique reaches its peak. This fight just took a whole new turn. The city lord goes feral, his rage boiling over. His body surges with purple lightning, dark energy crackling all around him. His eyes burn with hatred as he raises his arm, summoning an overwhelming force. He's done playing. He roars in fury, lightning streaking across the battlefield. His power erupts into a massive storm of dark energy, the sheer pressure warping the air around him. This is his full power. He's ready to kill. Bai Yifan doesn't even flinch. Blue flames explode around him, his aura pushing back against the storm. It's a direct clash. Pure power versus pure power. The ground shakes violently as their energy collides, sending shockwaves through the air. Both warriors stand firm, their ultimate moves unleashed at full force. Thunder crashes, flames roar. The battlefield becomes a war zone, and this fight is far from over. A massive energy tornado spirals into the sky, a clash of blue flames and purple lightning tearing through the battlefield. The sheer force rips through the ground, sending shockwaves everywhere. The fight has reached a whole new level. The city lord staggers back, his body crackling with electricity as he tries to withstand the impact. His face twists in pain, his powerful stance shaking for the first time. Bai Yifan's attack hit its mark. Bai Yifan wipes the blood trickling from his lips, his expression unfazed. He took a hit, sure, but he's still standing. This battle ain't over yet. The city lord grins through the pain, trying to act like he's still in control. He taunts Bai Yifan, acting like he still has the upper hand. But there's a hint of nervousness in his eyes. Bai Yifan steps forward, his gaze sharp. He smirks, completely unbothered. He wasn't even fighting at full power yet. This was nothing. The City Lord's smirk fades. Something feels off. His instincts scream at him. Bai Yifan's hiding something. A trump card? Another technique? He can't figure it out, and that's what scares him the most. A sudden burst of blue energy streaks across the battlefield. So fast. The City Lord's eyes widen in shock. This wasn't normal. What was Bai Yifan up to? Bai Yifan's eyes sharpen, his gaze cold and calculated. This is it. The finishing blow. No more games. No more hesitation. He's about to end this fight once and for all. With a flick of his wrist, he unleashes a deadly slash, the sheer force ripping through the air. The City Lord tries to react, but it's already too late. The battlefield erupts. Bai Yifan's ultimate move, Rainstorm Sword Technique, activates in full force. Blades of energy slash through his enemy, an unstoppable wave of destruction. The City Lord is torn apart by the attack, his body overwhelmed by the energy. He lets out a final scream, his face twisted in pain and disbelief. The realization hits. He's lost. He collapses, his once dominant aura shattered. His mind refuses to accept it. How could this happen? How did he, the mighty City Lord, lose to Bai Yifan? His strength, his pride, all gone in an instant. Bai Yifan steps forward, victorious. He doesn't even look fazed. This fight? It was over the moment he committed to winning. The City Lord never had a chance. This was fate. Bai Yifan's eyes glow with an intense red hue, his expression cold and unyielding. This is it. No more struggle, no more resistance. It's over. With a single devastating strike, Bai Yifan slashes through the City Lord's defenses. The sheer force of the attack sends shockwaves across the battlefield. The City Lord lets out a blood-curdling scream, his body convulsing in pain as the fatal blow lands. His aura flickers, his strength draining away in an instant. Blood splatters across the ground. His once unshakable presence is reduced to nothing, just another corpse on the battlefield. His lifeless body hits the floor, his reign officially over. The fight is done. Bai Yifan stands victorious. With a calm but curious expression, Bai Yifan reaches down and picks up a mysterious weapon. Its energy pulses in his hand. Is this a magic weapon? Interesting. Bai Yifan examines the glowing weapon, a mysterious dark ring pulsating with energy. He realizes this isn't just any relic. It holds the condensed power of thunder and lightning. With a smirk, Bai Yifan claims it for himself. No hesitation. No guilt. This weapon belongs to him now. The sound of galloping hooves fills the air as a group of armored soldiers rush toward the battlefield. Their faces are tense. Something is wrong. One of the warriors looks around in panic, realizing their lord and elites are nowhere to be found. The battlefield is eerily silent. Bai Yifan stands above the fallen bodies, his presence undeniably dominant. His voice carries through the air, commanding absolute authority. He gives them a choice: surrender and live, or resist and join the dead. Bai Yifan stands tall, his eyes sharp and unwavering. The air around him is thick with authority, his presence alone making the guards hesitate. His words cut like a blade. He's made his stance clear. Anyone who dares to attack will meet their end without mercy. The guards are visibly shaken. One of them clenches his fist in frustration, his face twisting in disbelief. They didn't expect such dominance from Bai Yifan, and now fear creeps into their bones. The scene shifts to the Wanbao Inn, its towering structure standing firm against the darkening sky. It's a place of whispers, secrets, and power plays. Inside, Miss Lan sits by the window, her red dress flowing like a delicate flame. Her posture is poised, but there's an unmistakable heaviness in her expression. She gazes into the distance, lost in thought. Something has changed. Something big. Her emerald eyes flicker with unease. She's been waiting. But for what exactly? There's an unspoken tension in the air, a silent anticipation of what's to come. A man bursts into the room, breathless and urgent. His words tumble out, breaking the fragile quiet. Something major has happened. something that could shake the very foundation of their world. Miss Lan doesn't waste time. Her commanding presence fills the space as she demands answers. Her voice is firm, unwavering. Whatever the news is, she's ready to face it head-on. Damn, it's a straight-up massacre. The Lin family estate? Gone. Bodies everywhere. The whole place is on fire, and the messenger just casually drops the bomb. Lin Defu and Lin Yunkai? Dead. Not a single one of the Lin family made it out alive. And it gets worse. The city lord Signer and the elite Lin guards? Slaughtered. Not just taken down, erased. Oh, and their fancy mansion. Burned to the ground. Lujin City just lost its top dogs in one night. Cut to Wanbao Inn. Miss Lan and the old man are shook. Like, no way he actually did it levels of shook. But nah, Bai Yifan wasn't playing. He said he was gonna wipe them out, and he really did it. The old man starts sweating. This isn't just some random beef. This is a whole city power shift. He warns Miss Lan to watch herself. Bai Yifan's not just dangerous. He's the new problem everyone has to deal with. The four generals of Lujin City, literal powerhouses at the blood transfusion realm, were in the city lord's mansion when it happened. And guess what? They never even saw it coming. Bai Yifan just walked in, did his thing, and dipped like a legend. Miss Lan and the old man stare into the night. Lujin City is about to change forever. Bai Yifan didn't just beat some big names. He took over. Whether people like it or not, he runs this city now. Meanwhile outside, full-blown chaos. People are pushing through the streets, warriors looking lost, civilians panicking. Everybody wants to know what just went down. A huge crowd forms at the city gates, all whispering and freaking out. Nobody knows the full story, but one thing's clear. Lujin City just got a whole new boss. The city's buzzing. Words out that Bai Yifan's officially a wanted man. His face is all over the bounty posters, and everyone's eyeing that reward money. Gold's on the table, and people are ready to cash in. Even snitching gets a little something. A group of people check out the bounty, confused. This guy? A criminal? He doesn't even look that bad. Some start questioning. What exactly did he do to end up on the list? One of the bystanders grabs a poster and slams it back onto the board. Smack. Like it or not, Bai Yifan's got a price on his head now. Bai Yifan himself stands in front of the board, staring at his bounty picture. But instead of being mad about the bounty amount, he looks absolutely disgusted. His expression screams, "Who the hell drew this?" He flicks the poster in frustration. They really did me dirty with this drawing. I don't even look like that. Forget the bounty. He's more pissed about the ugly mugshot. They really had to make him look that bad. With a sigh, Bai Yifan turns and walks away. Whatever. Time for a change of scenery. New place, new fun. But one thing's for sure. He's never letting this ugly-ass poster slide. The night is calm. The sky draped in deep blue with the glow of lanterns flickering against the rooftops. The grand estate stands silent under the moonlight, its presence carrying an air of quiet tension. Miss Lan sits outside, her long pink hair flowing in the night breeze. Her gaze is distant, lost in thought, as she wrestles with the uncertainty of what's to come. Out of nowhere, a streak of violet energy cuts through the darkness, moving too fast to follow. Whatever it is, it's headed straight toward her. The projectile crashes through the wooden window, landing inside with a soft thud. The sudden noise jolts her from her thoughts, her body tensing at the unexpected arrival. She hesitates before reaching for the envelope, her fingers brushing against the crisp paper. The weight of it alone tells her this isn't just any letter. It's something important. The letter unfolds, revealing neatly written words. A farewell, a promise, and a gift. Bai Yifan is leaving. He's made sure she and her people will be taken care of. But he's already moving forward. Her hands tremble as she lifts the lid of a small box. A brilliant golden glow bursts forth, illuminating her face. Precious jewels, rare artifacts, and wealth beyond anything she's ever seen spill into her lap. Her breath catches. This isn't just a parting gift. This is a fortune. Miss Lan stands by the window, the soft glow of lantern light casting a warm hue over her figure. She clutches the letter close, her expression unreadable. Loss, uncertainty, maybe something more. The night breeze brushes against her as she murmurs his name in silence. The city gates roar with movement. A lone rider bursts through, galloping at full speed. The pounding hooves echo across the stone path, kicking up a thick cloud of dust. Bai Yifan is already on the move, disappearing into the night. He doesn't look back. His path is set, his journey ahead unknown. The towering city walls fade behind him as he speeds away, his figure swallowed by the horizon. The sky stretches endlessly, clear and open. Time moves on. Half a month later, new city, new territory. The docks are bustling with life, merchants shouting, sailors unloading crates, and travelers preparing for departure. Towering ships stand tall against the sea. A new chapter begins. Bai Yifan has left Lujin City behind, but where he's headed next, that remains to be seen. Rees, ready to set sail toward new opportunities. Bai Yifan stands nearby, quietly listening as two men discuss a major opportunity. The Five Elements, Holy Land, one of the 10 great holy places, is officially recruiting new disciples. This is big news. The conversation continues, and excitement fills their voices. They talk about the sheer power of the Holy Land's teachings. Even the lowest-ranking techniques there are said to be equal to the most peerless techniques of the outside world. Becoming a disciple would be life-changing. One of the men takes it a step further. Being a disciple is one thing. But if someone were to become an elder in the Holy Land, that would mean absolute authority, to the point where even the royal families wouldn't dare question them. The brown-robed man frowns, pointing out the issue. The Holy Land is incredibly far from their current state. A normal horse ride would take thousands of miles, making the journey nearly impossible. The blue-robed man nods in agreement but reminds him that they have a solution: flying boats. If they hurry, they can still make it in time before the last one leaves. Bai Yifan looks up, his gaze shifting toward the sky. His mind is already made up. This is an opportunity he can't miss. Above, a massive cloud boat glides across the sky, its imposing figure cutting through the clouds. This isn't just any transport. It's one of the fastest ways to travel, able to cross vast distances in a fraction of the time. If Bai Yifan wants to reach the Holy Land, this is his best option. Without hesitation, Bai Yifan moves toward the docks, stepping into a long queue of travelers eager to board the flying boat. Everyone here is chasing a future filled with promise and power. At the ticket counter, Bai Yifan hands over payment and secures his spot. His destination? The Five Elements Holy Land. The journey is about to begin, and with it, the next chapter of his story. Bai Yifan approaches the ticket booth, ready to secure his passage. The ticket seller, a pudgy middle-aged man, raises an eyebrow, skeptically asking if Bai Yifan really intends to book a flying boat to the Five Elements Holy Land. His tone suggests doubt. This trip isn't cheap, and not just anyone can afford it. The ticket seller leans in slightly, studying Bai Yifan more closely. His attitude shifts to one of curiosity and slight mockery. Traveling to the Holy Land isn't something ordinary people do. If Bai Yifan doesn't have enough funds, he might as well turn around now. Bai Yifan doesn't hesitate. Instead of answering, he casually takes out a golden spirit stone, a highly valuable currency. The moment it lands in his palm, the seller's expression instantly changes. Smack! The golden spirit stone slams onto the counter, catching the ticket seller completely off guard. His eyes widen in disbelief, stunned by the sheer wealth in front of him. Did this young man just casually pull out such a rare treasure? The entire mood shifts. The ticket seller, suddenly all smiles, immediately hands over a premium ticket. His once arrogant attitude is gone. Now, he's nothing but polite and eager to serve. Bai Yifan is no ordinary traveler, and money talks louder than words. As Bai Yifan receives his ticket, a group of wealthy-looking nobles step forward. Among them is a young man in luxurious robes, accompanied by 2 attendants. He pauses mid-stride, noticing Bai Yifan's transaction. Something about it catches his attention. The nobleman narrows his eyes, turning to his followers. He recognizes that Bai Yifan didn't hesitate to spend a rare spirit stone. This is unusual. People who use such wealth so casually are either incredibly rich or incredibly dangerous. One of the nobleman's attendants whispers something to him, likely informing him of Bai Yifan's actions or identity. Whatever he hears only makes him more intrigued. Meanwhile, In another part of the port, a figure in a striking purple outfit walks toward the scene. With piercing eyes and an air of authority, she doesn't seem like an ordinary traveler. She's noticed something, or someone, that interests her. Her sharp gaze locks onto Bai Yifan. Who is this man? And more importantly, why does he feel different from the rest? A woman in a striking purple outfit stands confidently, her expression filled with arrogance. She mockingly questions why Bai Yifan doesn't recognize her, implying that she is someone important. Her brother is a direct descendant of the Phoenix King, a name that carries significant power. She continues, her voice dripping with superiority. Bai Yifan should feel honored that she even acknowledges him, let alone offers him a chance to submit to her authority. Her confidence is absolute. She sees herself as someone untouchable. Bai Yifan remains calm, his gaze unwavering. But her words don't sit well with him. His sharp response cuts through the arrogance. Are you seeking death? The atmosphere tenses. Someone from the crowd recognizes Bai Yifan's opponent. She's Feng Ruyu, the younger sister of His Majesty's brother, Prince Feng. The murmurs grow louder. People whisper about how difficult it would be to go against someone with royal blood. The Feng family is no ordinary lineage. They are direct descendants of the Phoenix King and wield immense power. Bai Yifan remains completely unfazed. His reply is blunt. Prince, so what? His tone carries no fear, no hesitation. Feng Ruyu's expression twists in anger. Bai Yifan's defiance infuriates her. How dare he not show respect? She yells in frustration, proclaiming that being a man of honor is worthless compared to a man of bloodline. Feng Ruyu clenches her teeth, her anger boiling over. She screams, "You!" her fury reaching its peak. Bai Yifan doesn't waste another second on them. With a sharp, commanding voice, he tells them to, "Get your asses back in line, you dumb dogs." His patience is gone, and he's done playing games. A surge of fiery energy erupts as a nobleman in blue robes glares at Bai Yifan. His expression is filled with disbelief and fury. He did not expect to be humiliated like this in public. The nobleman clenches his fists, eyes burning with anger. He demands an explanation, questioning if Bai Yifan even knows who he is and the consequences of offending him. The ticket seller, now clearly terrified, tries to calm the situation. He rushes toward the nobleman, frantically apologizing and pleading with him not to escalate things further. He fears that offending such a high-status figure will bring disaster upon himself. The nobleman's attendant steps forward, his expression cold and arrogant. He warns Bai Yifan, making it clear that his master is not someone to be trifled with. If Bai Yifan dares to cross him, there will be serious consequences. Bai Yifan doesn't flinch. His gaze remains steady and unbothered as he listens to their threats. Instead of backing down, he throws the question back at them. Then do you really think you can decide whether I live or die? The nobleman's expression shifts slightly, momentarily taken aback by Bai Yifan's confidence. He wasn't expecting such a fearless response. With a smirk, Bai Yifan calls him out directly. If the nobleman wants to fight, he better be ready to put his life on the line because the outcome isn't certain. Either one of them could die. Flames of battle intent blaze in Bai Yifan's eyes as his energy surges. His aura explodes, sending a wave of pressure through the area. The atmosphere grows tense. He's dead serious. The nobleman in blue grits her teeth, her face twisted in anger. Bai Yifan's defiance has completely enraged her, and she struggles to hold back her emotions. The ticket officer stands tall, announcing that the cloud boat's doors will soon be closed. If anyone wishes to board, now is the time. The final call has been made. Feng Ruyu glares in frustration, insisting that the ticket officer delay the departure. She demands that he give her more time, as if she expects special treatment. The ticket officer looks confused and hesitant. He questions whether he even has the authority to hold the cloud boat for a noble like her. He knows that going against protocol could cause issues. A nobleman in blue suddenly steps forward. He tells the ticket officer that delaying the cloud boat should be no issue if it's for them. They hold power. Who would dare refuse? The ticket officer is now caught between following the rules and pleasing the nobles. His forehead drips sweat as he realizes the danger of his decision. If he offends them, it could cost him dearly. With pressure mounting, he gives in. Reluctantly, He says he will try his best to keep the cloud boat from leaving just yet. Bai Yifan watches the scene unfold. His expression remains calm but unimpressed. These nobles think they can buy their way through everything. He smirks, pulling out a massive amount of gold spirit stones and making a bold declaration. He will buy all the remaining doors on the cloud boat. The ticket officer is completely stunned, his jaw nearly dropping. This level of wealth and confidence is beyond anything he expected. The nobleman in blue erupts in rage, pointing at Bai Yifan in disbelief. He yells at the ticket officer, demanding to know if he actually plans to sell the spots to Bai Yifan instead of them. Bai Yifan crosses his arms, smirking confidently. He mockingly tells the nobles that if they don't have the money, they should stop complaining. He simply followed the rules and bought his spot fair and square. The ticket officer nods in agreement. The rules are clear, and Bai Yifan paid the price to reserve the remaining spots. If the nobles want a spot, they'll have to find another way. The ticket officer repeats himself loudly, emphasizing that Lord Yifan has taken all the remaining tickets. He then politely asks the nobles to step aside and wait for the next ship. Bai Yifan grins, pleased with how things turned out. The nobles, still frustrated, can't do anything but watch as the situation unfolds. One of the nobles, still fuming, grits his teeth. He wasn't expecting Bai Yifan to turn the situation around so easily. Feng Ruyu, looking frustrated, suddenly realizes something. Appointments for the cloud boat are made in advance. If Bai Yifan had the funds and knowledge to buy the remaining spots, then he must have known about this beforehand. She turns angrily toward her subordinate, demanding an explanation. Why didn't he tell her this earlier? The cloud boat lifts into the sky, leaving behind a streak of white mist as it soars into the clouds. Bai Yifan has successfully secured his journey, while the nobles are left stranded below. Bai Yifan walks down a dimly lit corridor inside the cloud boat, his red robe flowing behind him. The atmosphere is quiet, but something feels off. A sharp voice suddenly interrupts the silence. Someone demands that he stop. Bai Yifan pauses, turning his head slightly in surprise. He glances back, a hint of curiosity in his expression. Someone is calling out to him, but he doesn't recognize the voice. A mysterious man in dark robes steps forward, his aura imposing. His tone is firm, as he respectfully but urgently states that he has something to ask Bai Yifan. Bai Yifan's eyes narrow slightly as he studies the man. He doesn't recognize him. He asks who he is, clearly not one to entertain random strangers without reason. The scene shifts. On the deck of the cloud boat, a group of passengers sit together, laughing and drinking under the open sky. Two hands clink glasses together, a toast being made. The word cheers echoes, signifying a light-hearted moment. But who is really celebrating? A large, cheerful man raises his cup, laughing heartily as he speaks. He doesn't care about noble bloodlines. A good drink is a good drink, no matter who you are. His lively attitude immediately stands out. He introduces himself as Lu Wei, a merchant from the western region. His demeanor is bold and unrestrained, completely different from the nobles Bai Yifan has encountered before. Bai Yifan looks at Lu Wei, slightly puzzled by his directness. He hesitates before responding, clearly not used to this kind of openness. Lu Wei continues with a grin, explaining that he travels the world for business, making deals wherever the money flows. He then flips the conversation, casually asking Bai Yifan where he's from. Bai Yifan, keeping things simple, responds that he's from a small estate. His tone suggests he doesn't care to elaborate. Lu Wei smirks, immediately calling him out. He doesn't believe that for a second. Anyone who speaks and carries themselves like Bai Yifan is clearly someone important. Suddenly, Lu Wei slams his cup onto the table, his face turning serious. His tone lowers. He has something important to say. He leans in slightly, revealing that the Five Elements Holy Land is not as simple as it seems. Many powerful figures are gathering there, and things will not be peaceful. Lu Wei offers Bai Yifan a deal. He can give him an inside scoop on what's really happening if Bai Yifan is interested. The tension in the air lingers for a moment, but then Lu Wei bursts into laughter again, breaking the mood. He raises his cup once more, encouraging Bai Yifan to drink with him and enjoy the journey. A text box appears. 1 hour later. Lu Wei snores loudly, his head tilted back as he sleeps deeply. Bai Yifan, sitting nearby, grimaces and covers his ears, clearly annoyed by the thunderous snoring. Suddenly, a blinding flash fills the sky as a massive bolt of lightning strikes the ship. The impact is violent, shaking the entire vessel and sending shockwaves through the air. Lu Wei, caught off guard, falls backward onto his chair, jolted awake by the sudden explosion. Bai Yifan, still seated, looks shocked and confused, trying to process what just happened. Bai Yifan quickly looks up at the sky, his expression serious. Something isn't right. A normal storm shouldn't have this kind of destructive power. What's going on? Chaos erupts across the ship. Passengers scream and run in panic, the sudden thunderstorm throwing everything into disarray. The once peaceful journey has turned into a nightmare. Another thunderous strike crashes down, hitting the ship again. People plead for their lives, some crying out that they don't want to die yet. The fear in their voices is real. This is no ordinary storm. Something dangerous is coming. Bai Yifan stands there like it's just another Tuesday, completely unbothered by the literal chaos around him. The sky is going crazy, lightning popping off like a final boss fight. But he just tilts his head, looking way too interested in the whole thing. With zero rush, he pulls out a small purple ring, the thing glowing like it just got a buff. It pulses in his hand, reacting to the storm. He eyes it, totally chill. All right, time to put this bad boy to use. Flashback mode. Bai Yifan is sitting on a rock, casually explaining the ring's broken ability. This thing can soak up any thunder or lightning, stash it away, and unleash it whenever the heck he wants. Basically, an infinite lightning battery. Cut back to him looking low-key disappointed. He's been dragging this thing around forever and never once got the chance to flex it. No storms, no lightning, just vibes and wasted potential. Then, boom, opportunity unlocked. Bai Yifan's eyes sharpen, that cocky little smirk creeping onto his face. Finally, let's see what this thing can really do. The ring kicks into overdrive, pulling lightning straight from the sky like it's downloading power at max speed. Golden energy swirls around him, the air crackling like static before a drop in a song. He's just standing there, completely vibing. This is exactly what he wanted. Meanwhile, everyone else is losing it. The cloudboat passengers are screaming, running, tripping over themselves. Full-on panic mode. People are holding onto the rails like it's a roller coaster drop, freaking out hard. The storm stops playing around. Every single lightning bolt in the area locks onto one spot, forming this massive glowing energy vortex. The whole sky twists and rumbles like a final boss is about to spawn. This ain't normal. Something big is about to go down. Lightning explodes across the sky, surging toward Bai Yifan like it's being pulled by a magnet. The entire storm seems to be collapsing into his ring, absorbing all the wild energy. The ship shakes violently as wood splinters and debris flies everywhere. The sheer power of the lightning tears apart parts of the cloudboat, sending passengers scrambling for cover. Panic spreads. People are running and screaming, pointing toward the top deck. Something's happening up there, and it's not normal. The fear in their eyes says it all. Whatever this is, it's beyond anything they've seen before. Bai Yifan stands dead center in the chaos, holding up his ring as it absorbs the last of the lightning. His expression is completely unfazed. If anything, he looks satisfied. The ring hums with energy, glowing intensely before finally stabilizing. With a flick of his wrist, Bai Yifan closes his fingers around it. It's done. The ring hums with energy, glowing intensely before finally stabilizing. With a flick of his wrist, Bai Yifan closes his fingers around it. It's done. He exhales, leaning against the railing, looking cool as ever. The storm is gone. The ring is charged. And now, he can finally chill. A voice shouts from the deck. Someone spots something ahead. The passengers rush forward, eyes widening as they realize. The Five Elements city comes into view. The massive city stretches out beneath them, glowing with life and power. They've arrived. Bai Yifan steps off the cloudboat and takes in the view of the massive city before him. The bustling streets, towering buildings, and golden rooftops radiate an aura of prestige and opportunity. He smirks. Finally, he's arrived. Lu Wei walks beside him, grinning ear to ear. He comments on how the city is everything he imagined and more. This is a place where power, wealth, and influence thrive. People flood the streets, conversations buzzing all around. Some discuss upcoming events, while others show off rare treasures they brought to sell. The entire place feels alive with energy. A group of young warriors march confidently, eager to prove themselves in the recruitment process. Their expressions are a mix of excitement and nervous determination. A giant transparent barrier shimmers above parts of the city, indicating the protected zones for high-level combatants. Someone in the crowd exclaims how impressive the five-element city's security is. Lu Wei strokes his chin, eyes scanning the crowd. He casually points out the various factions at play here: royal heirs, sect disciples, independent warriors, each one hungry for success. The competition here will be fierce. Bai Yifan listens, but his focus shifts to a particular group in the distance. They're radiating strong battle auras, and something about them tells him they aren't just any ordinary warriors. With a confident smirk, Bai Yifan nods to himself. Coming here was the right choice after all. His journey is just beginning. As Bai Yifan and Lu Wei enter the bustling city, a sudden commanding shout for silence echoes through the air, cutting through the noise. Instantly, everyone's attention locks onto the source of the voice. A heavy pressure fills the atmosphere, making it hard to breathe. Everyone feels it. Some people tense up, while others instinctively lower their heads in respect. The crowd parts, their eyes widening as a mystical figure, glowing with an aura of authority, appears high above on a balcony overlooking the city. His presence alone demands absolute respect, and the crowd watches in awe and silence. The figure steps forward. It's Yan Yun Song, an elder of the inner sect of the Five Elements Holy Land. He's the one in charge of the entrance exam, and his word is law here. A young man in the crowd, unable to contain his excitement, rushes forward to register. His face is full of determination, eager to prove himself and secure his spot in the prestigious sect. Bai Yifan and Lu Wei exchange glances, their time together coming to an end. They say their goodbyes, knowing that the journey ahead will now take them down separate paths. Lu Wei places a hand on Bai Yifan's shoulder, his usual carefree grin still present. He tells him straight, he can't protect him anymore. From here on out, Bai Yifan is on his own. Before leaving, Lu Wei offers one last piece of advice. If you're scared, just hide. With that, he laughs, turns, and runs off, disappearing into the sea of people, leaving Bai Yifan standing alone in the crowd. Bai Yifan stands casually, holding a golden spirit stone between his fingers, a confident smirk on his face. He reminds Lu Wei that he said he'd wait for him, as if this farewell isn't truly the end. With a slight chuckle, Bai Yifan gives one last remark, hinting that their paths may cross again soon. His tone is light, but there's a weight to his words. This isn't just a random goodbye. A wide aerial shot showcases the Eastern Competition grounds, a massive arena where countless participants gather. The sheer scale of the event is overwhelming, and the anticipation in the air is undeniable. A sign labeled Eastern Competition Grounds marks the grand entrance, where streams of young warriors line up, eager to prove themselves and earn a place in the Five Elements Holy Land. In a shaded corner, two figures crouch behind some crates, whispering as they observe the scene. Their attention is locked onto Bai Yifan. A young man in white nudges his brother, his eyes narrowing as he recognizes Bai Yifan. His tone carries both curiosity and hostility. His older brother, dressed in regal gold-trimmed robes, looks down at Bai Yifan with mild amusement. He admits that he didn't expect to see him here, but now that he has, things just got more interesting. The younger brother is visibly agitated, pressing for immediate action, but the older brother remains calm and calculating. He reminds him that now isn't the time. Some things require patience. With a confident smirk, the older brother hints at a future confrontation. Once they become disciples of the Five Elements Holy Land, there will be plenty of opportunities to deal with Bai Yifan properly. At the registration desk, Bai Yifan states his name and cultivation realm, blood transformation realm. He stands with confidence, not bothered by others watching. One of the disciples nearby scoffs, repeating Bai Yifan's realm in disbelief. His tone is mocking, clearly not impressed by someone at such a low level. Another young man joins in, laughing loudly. He says that being at the blood transformation realm is ridiculous, and jokes that Bai Yifan probably won't even make it into the competition. He continues, saying that even if Bai Yifan somehow got in, There's no way he'd survive against others who've trained far harder or come from stronger backgrounds. Suddenly, attention shifts as Bai Yifan reveals his entry token. One of the staff members at the desk leans forward to take a closer look, eyes wide with surprise. The staff member immediately changes tone, respectfully telling Bai Yifan he is excused from the line and may enter directly. Bai Yifan offers a polite, "Thank you," walking past the gate with zero hesitation while others look on, completely stunned. A young cultivator bursts out in disbelief, eyes wide and jaw dropped as he hears the news. Bai Yifan gets to skip the entrance exam. The crowd behind him is just as shocked. Still stunned, he glares in Bai Yifan's direction, his expression full of confusion and frustration. He demands to know who this guy really is to receive such treatment. The scene shifts to the top of a towering structure within the sect, the Ascension Order platform, where high-level elders observe the proceedings from above. An elder stands solemnly, watching over everything. He raises his voice to ask, "Who holds this Order of Ascension?" The question echoes with authority. A subordinate answers, respectfully bowing. He informs the elder that the one who holds it is none other than Bai Yifan. A disciple reports in front of the spirit measuring tablet, showing Bai Yifan's test results. The tablet glows faintly, confirming his lowest level yellow rank. The report is clear. His spiritual aptitude is barely passable. The disciple gives his opinion bluntly. Bai Yifan probably comes from wealth and just happened to luck into the Ascension Order. He doubts Bai Yifan has true talent. Another asks Elder Yan how they should handle someone like this. His tone is respectful, but the question is direct. They want guidance on what to do with someone who seems so underqualified. Elder Yan gazes over the city from above, his expression stern. He states that normally, the minimum threshold to become an outer disciple is the 5th level of physical marrow cleansing, but Bai Yifan is only at the blood transformation realm and ranks yellow level. He concludes that Bai Yifan is only barely fit to serve as an assistant disciple, not a proper one. His tone is dismissive. Bai Yifan doesn't meet the standards of their holy land. But then, Elder Yan adds a twist. Because Bai Yifan holds the Order of Ascension, he will make an exception and allow him to join as an outer disciple after all. The subordinate responds quickly with a yes, acknowledging the elder's command without hesitation. A loud burst of energy erupts as a massive bird soars through the sky, carrying a group of disciples on its back. The wind trails behind it in glowing streams as it flies across the sky toward the Holy Land. The sheer size and speed of the beast draw attention immediately. Bai Yifan lounges casually on the back of the bird among the other disciples, arms behind his head, completely relaxed. His eyes scan the group calmly, quietly sizing up the people around him without saying a word. He thinks to himself, in the outside world, just reaching the blood transformation realm would make him a high-ranking general or a top-level expert. But here, in the 5 Elements Holy Land, that kind of power is barely entry-level. Still reclining on the back of the giant bird, Bai Yifan reflects on his situation. Despite being rated yellow rank, he knows the true strength of his body has already surpassed several realms. It just isn't being recognized properly. He lazily raises his hand toward the sky with a sigh. Forget it, he thinks. This whole assessment system? Totally unreliable. There's no point stressing over rankings that don't match reality. Bai Yifan continues musing. It's not just about cultivation level. Resources, training, and opportunity matter too. And now that he's in the 5 Elements Holy Land, he finally has access to all of it. He looks forward with a spark of ambition. With everything the sect has to offer, elixirs, techniques, guidance, he might really be able to make a breakthrough in the near future. The giant bird swoops through the clouds, racing across the sky with incredible speed, carrying Bai Yifan and the other disciples toward their destination. Up ahead, the grand gates of the 5 Elements Holy Land appear, surrounded by a radiant energy barrier. The entire sect seems to float in divine light. It's breathtaking. They descend through layers of clouds as the Holy Land comes into full view, revealing vast courtyards, majestic towers, and powerful auras everywhere. They've arrived. As the massive bird glides through the skies, Bai Yifan looks out in awe. The view is surreal. The 5 Elements Holy Land truly does sit high above the clouds, like a scene from a dream. An elder flying beside the disciples begins explaining. What lies ahead is the 5 Elements Heavenly Palace, the very heart of the sect, a place where only elders and true disciples are allowed to set foot. The elder gestures toward the glowing palace, floating atop a colossal chunk of land suspended in midair, surrounded by radiant energy. This is where Bai Yifan and the others will train, grow stronger, and fight for their place among the elite. The floating heavenly palace shines brilliantly in the sky as the giant bird carrying the disciples finally arrives at its destination. The towering peaks and divine aura mark this as the core of the five elements Holy Land. The disciples are gathered together on the sect's main platform. An elder stands before them and formally announces, "From now on, you are outer disciples of the five elements Holy Land." His voice is firm and commanding. He continues with authority. Every word and action from now on must follow the sect's rules. The disciples are expected to prioritize the interests of the Holy Land above all else, or face consequences. An attendant steps forward and distributes identity tags and maps to the new disciples. Each tag is personalized, directing them to their designated compound within the sect. Bai Yifan receives his materials and listens as the elder instructs them one last time. There will be a sect manual in their rooms, and they must read it thoroughly to understand how to survive and thrive within the Holy Land. A scenic view of the outer disciple living quarters is shown, nestled peacefully within nature. The architecture is calm and elegant, an ideal space for cultivation and rest. Inside his assigned room, Bai Yifan begins unpacking. On his desk are several powerful items. A talisman of purification, talisman of speed, talisman of fire, talisman of water, a spiritual stone, and a high-level healing potion. Bai Yifan leans back in his chair, staring at the items with a smirk. He's honestly impressed. The Holy Land is going all out. That much treasure, worth tens of millions of gold coins, just handed out to an outer disciple with no strings attached? He didn't expect that. He shifts his attention to the blue-covered manual lying on the desk, the one he was told to read upon arrival. The title reads, Wanggu Continent. Bai Yifan flips open the manual, his expression growing more focused. He softly mutters the continent's name. Wanggu Continent. He scans through the first few pages. The continent is ancient and split into several massive regions: East River, South Wasteland, West Sea, North Plains, and more. Each zone is home to different tribes, monsters, demons, and humans, all coexisting in a chaotic but balanced world. Bai Yifan smirks. He already knew some of this, but it hits different now that he's here. The scene shifts to a stunning montage showcasing the major sects of the central continent. Powerful figures, each radiating immense spiritual energy, stand atop divine beasts, flames, lightning, or mystic auras, representing the elite sects that dominate the cultivation world. A narration explains. Among them, the Holy Land of Incarnation stands out as the most mysterious. It's said they've never had more than 5 disciples at a time, but every single one is a peerless genius, unmatched in talent and power. Then, the focus shifts to another. The land of the Holy Emperor, the most powerful, most dominant sect in the entire central continent. Its influence is so vast that other sects tread carefully in its shadow. The scene intensifies with lightning and swords clashing as 2 more sects are revealed. The Holy Land of Immortals specializes in body refining, while Zhantian Holy Land focuses entirely on swordsmanship, both producing elite cultivators known for overwhelming strength. Finally, the ethereal beauty of the Western Paradise is shown. It is a sect that has, since its founding, only accepted female disciples, and every one of them is graceful, deadly, and powerful in her own right. A magnificent golden tower floats high in the sky, surrounded by 5 glowing elemental peaks: metal, wood, water, fire, and earth. This is the sacred structure of the 5 elements Holy Land, the youngest among the top 10 holy sects in the continent. Back in his room, Bai Yifan contemplates what he's learned. If he had known earlier how strong the land of the Holy Emperor was, he would have tried to find a way in. But now, his path is set. He thinks deeply. Even though he has plenty of gold, not everything can be bought. True strength takes more than money, and shortcuts only get you so far. His eyes narrow in focus. He recalls that the bone forging and blood transformation realm focus on building the body and nourishing blood. But the marrow cleansing realm? That's on another level. It's about purifying the body and chi itself. He stands up, pacing slightly, clearly trying to figure out his next move. If he wants to get stronger, he needs to find a way to cleanse his marrow and refine his blood. With a serious look, he questions the air around him. Is there anything on Earth that can help me with these? It's a real moment. He knows exactly what he needs. The problem is finding it. A text box appears. A month later. The view pans over Bai Yifan's quiet courtyard. Time has passed, but the peaceful scenery hides the intense effort he's been putting in behind closed doors. Inside, Bai Yifan sits in meditation, flames of energy swirling around him. He narrates how he spent the past month traveling between Earth and this world, grinding hard while studying ways to cleanse and strengthen his body. We see Bai Yifan in a herbal bath, steam rising from the surface. He discovered that soaking in herbs is more effective and stable than just ingesting them. It helps change the body at a deeper level. Close-up of a table with medicinal ingredients: Angelica sinensis, lotus seed, asparagus, and others. These are herbs used in Chinese medicine to detoxify the body and clear heat, supporting his breakthrough. Bai Yifan rises with energy flaring around him. His power is surging. He feels lighter, faster, stronger, and even his mind is sharper. After a month of self-experimentation, the results speak for themselves. He's on a whole new level now. Bai Yifan sits in deep meditation, surrounded by flickering red flames. His breathing is slow and steady, each exhale releasing heat, energy, and tension. The air around him vibrates with power. A surge of energy rises. Bai Yifan opens his eyes, fully locked in. He's made up his mind. This time he's breaking through the blood transformation realm. No doubts, no hesitation. A huge energy explosion erupts around him. A golden flash cracks the ground as his cultivation energy shatters the realm barrier. He's doing it, breaking through by force. His legs glow with power, his body pulsing with refined energy. The blood and marrow within him begin to purify as he crosses into a whole new stage. He stands up, transformed. His chi is sharp, his aura refined. He's officially stepped into the marrow-cleansing realm, his body wrapped in a glowing veil of blood and chi. Bai Yifan looks proud, composed, and stronger than ever. Bai Yifan's body radiates with a red pulsing energy. His chi and blood veil wraps tightly around him like armor, glowing with intensity. He calmly examines the power flowing through him. This is on par with the chi and blood armor of the Enlightenment realm, maybe even tougher. He grins with confidence and walks toward the window. His hand sparks with raw energy as he pulls it back for a test strike. Time to see what this new power can actually do. He launches a devastating punch out the window. The energy trails behind like a blazing wave, splitting the air. Boom! A series of powerful explosions rip through the trees outside. The shockwave flattens everything in its path. Yeah, this upgrade hits different. Bai Yifan stands in front of a smashed-up training area, his fist still glowing with aftershock. His raw strength has skyrocketed. His punch is now estimated at 30,000 kilograms, more than double the power of a regular marrow-cleansing cultivator. A fiery glow surrounds him, his eyes sharp with confidence. His breakthrough wasn't just some power-up. This is the true start of his cultivation journey in the Five Elements Holy Land. He knows this is only the beginning. A line of disciples waits outside the majestic main hall, each dressed in the uniform of the Five Elements Holy Land. Bai Yifan is among them, blending in, but his presence feels more composed and focused than before. A narration bubble explains, the main hall is where all sect matters are handled, tasks, missions, and even the disciples' monthly salaries. It's the central hub of disciple life in the sect. Disciples step up one by one. An elder hands out a pouch of payment to the next in line, saying it's their salary for the month. The process is quick and efficient. Another disciple reports their mission is complete. He gets a solid 100 contribution points for it. Contribution points are everything in this place. They're how you get tasks, earn rewards, and climb up in rank. Bai Yifan checks his glowing green identity jade card. Contribution points are tracked on it. Every disciple gets 50 points as a welcome gift when they join. A radiant martial arts pavilion appears, filled with golden books and sacred scrolls. These contain martial techniques that can be exchanged using contribution points. This is the real power grind of the sect. Books float like relics from the heavens. It's said the martial arts pavilion holds tens of thousands of martial arts volumes. Even mastering one could skyrocket your strength. Bai Yifan reads from the Wanggu Continent Manual. There are 3 ways to earn contribution points. The last panel shows disciples fighting a giant beast. This is one method, low-level quests. Tasks like this earn around 100 to 300 points, depending on difficulty and success. Intermediate-level quests are the next tier up. These aren't your average go-fetch herbs kind of deals anymore. These are serious, often dangerous missions meant for disciples who've hit the Enlightenment realm. Think beast subjugation, escorting VIPs, or suppressing rogue cultivators. Rewards range from 300 to 1,000 contribution points, making it a solid grind for those aiming to climb the sect ranks or earn better gear. Intermediate-level quests are the next tier up. These aren't your average go-fetch herbs kind of deals anymore. These are serious, often dangerous missions meant for disciples who've hit the Enlightenment realm. Think beast subjugation, escorting VIPs, or suppressing rogue cultivators. Rewards range from 300 to 1,000 contribution points, making it a solid grind for those aiming to climb the sect ranks or earn better gear. If combat's not your vibe, the second method's all about flexing your resources. By handing over heavenly treasures, like rare herbs, spirit stones, or mystical artifacts, you can trade value for contribution points. It's a more passive grind, but if you've got the goods, the sect will handsomely reward you. This path favors the rich, lucky, or straight-up loot goblins who know where to scavenge. Last but definitely not least, bounty hunting. The 5 Elements Holy Land keeps a most wanted list filled with traitors, criminals, and rogue cultivators. If you're bold enough to track them down and take them out, the sect will shower you with contribution points. It's high risk, high reward, and perfect for those with a strong sense of justice, or just a thirst for blood and glory. We see a dark, intimidating scene, the wanted list of the 5 Elements Holy Land. These guys aren't your average petty thieves. They're top-tier villains, outlaws, traitors, and full-blown psychos. Taking one of them down gives the most contribution points, but the danger? Yeah, that's maxed out. A new group of hopefuls step up, thinking they're built different. Every year, some disciples get cocky, thinking they're ready to claim heads from the wanted list. But they usually just disappear. Turns out, going after high-profile criminals with minimal experience is kind of a bad life decision. Bai Yifan's not dumb. He stands there calmly, doing the math. Risk versus reward. Hunting criminals might pay well, but the danger ain't worth it. The contribution points for normal sect quests are mid at best, and going after wanted guys? Too risky, even for someone confident in their skills. Yifan smirks. Heavenly treasures? That's more his speed. He figures handing over some rare loot is the most chill and efficient method. 0 danger, all gain. It's like buying XP, perfect for someone trying to fly under the radar but still stack points. But then reality kicks in. The 5 Elements Holy Land isn't like Leon City. If you make moves too often or hand in rare stuff non-stop, people start asking questions. Where's he getting all this? Is he hiding something? And in a place this competitive, you don't want that heat. Yifan narrows his eyes. He's not scared, he just knows how to move smart. So, the play? Keep it low-key. Run some basic sect quests as a cover, and just so happen to find a few heavenly treasures along the way. It's all about blending in. He walks up to the quest hall with confidence and speaks to the elder, simple and clean. Elder, I'd like to get the low-level quest. Man's got a plan. The scene shifts to the sect's residential area. Peaceful paths, tiled rooftops, and a calm, disciplined environment. A disciple in a blue robe walks briskly, clutching something tightly, hoping to avoid attention. But a sharp voice calls out from behind, halting him mid-step. Tension rises immediately. Turning the corner, a group of disciples stands rigidly in formation. They're clearly under someone's command, their faces tense. One of them, trembling slightly, steps forward and presents a pouch, spirit stones. The leader's stance and gaze are domineering, leaving no room for negotiation. Whatever's happening, it's not just a routine stop. A disciple suddenly explodes with anger and throws a brutal punch, flooring one of his own men. The hit is full of frustration, like he's trying to vent all his rage in one blow. The injured disciple hits the ground hard while the others quickly crowd around to help. He's conscious but shaken. The atmosphere gets tense. Nobody knows what'll happen next. One of the group glances up and catches something. Someone in the air. His eyes go wide as realization hits. That person wasn't supposed to be here. Bai Yifan makes his entrance, calm and collected as ever. The chaos doesn't faze him. He walks forward like he already owns the room. The moment they see him, the mood changes. Because everyone knows he doesn't show up for nothing. Two disciples are chatting under the night sky, a faint moon glowing overhead. One of them points toward Bai Yifan in the distance. There's some curiosity brewing. Turns out they recognize him. The one with longer hair starts to explain. It's not just about recognition. There's a story behind it. His tone shifts like he's about to spill something juicy. He pulls his friend closer, glancing around to make sure no one's eavesdropping. Then he drops the hook. A few days ago, he saw Bai Yifan on the cloud boat. He leans in with a smug look, saying Bai Yifan may be unknown, but he's clearly rich. That kind of entrance, not something a random could pull off. The longer-haired guy finishes his little info dump. He'd looked into it, and Bai Yifan was the only one who entered the Five Elements Holy Land with an ascension order during the selection day. That's not normal. That's privilege. Two disciples walk along the sect courtyard, sunlight casting long shadows. One of them remarks how anyone with an ascension order has to come from serious wealth. The other imagines the kind of treasures someone like that might be hiding. Bai Yifan is seen stretching casually, keeping his composure. Internally, though, he's thinking things through. He knows carrying rare items can make him a target. He's strong, but not invincible. Flashing treasures would only invite trouble. He leans back, arms behind his head, eyes narrowing slightly. For now, it's better to stay low-key. No one can be trusted too easily, especially in a place like this. He'll play his cards close to his chest. Just as he's lost in thought, someone calls out to him from behind. He pauses, turning slightly with a hint of curiosity and caution on his face. A senior disciple walks up, draping an arm over Bai Yifan's shoulder with forced familiarity. There's a heavy smile on his face. Too heavy. The vibe is off. Something about him feels fake, like he's trying too hard to act friendly. Bai Yifan tilts his head slightly, confused but calm. He's already sizing the guy up, not reacting to the forced closeness. His eyes narrow just a bit, trying to figure out the man's angle. The senior disciple's face twists into a wide, unsettling grin. He leans in closer, that fake friendliness dropping for something more intense. There's a clear intent behind that smile, and it's not good. Two nearby disciples notice Bai Yifan and assume he's just another unlucky new recruit about to get caught in trouble with Gao Ying. One of them shakes his head, clearly sympathetic. A fast-paced flashback scene shows Gao Ying knocking down multiple disciples like bowling pins. The air is thick with pressure as others watch helplessly. No one dares to stand up to him. Onlookers whisper about how everyone who tried to resist Gao Ying ended up getting beaten. His bullying has become routine, and nobody wants to be next. Bai Yifan smirks and throws the question back at him, asking if he wants to borrow spirit stones. Calm, unbothered, he doesn't even acknowledge Gao Ying's aggression seriously. Still composed, Bai Yifan folds his arms and looks at him squarely. With a cool expression, he tells him that if he really wants something, he'll have to kneel down and beg for it. There's no hesitation. His presence alone makes it clear. He's not one to mess with. Bai Yifan stands confidently under the open sky. With his calm demeanor and sharp gaze, he looks completely in control. Gao Ying may have just realized, this isn't going to go the way he thought. Gasps ripple through the crowd as Bai Yifan's bold response catches everyone off guard. The surrounding disciples freeze, staring in disbelief, unsure if they really heard what they think they did. Gao Ying's face twists with fury. His eyes bulge, veins pop. He's clearly not used to being challenged, especially not in front of an audience. One of the onlookers blinks, trying to process it. Is the new guy actually mocking Gao Ying? Others glance at each other, shocked someone dared to say that out loud. Without warning, Gao Ying erupts with rage. His expression turns savage as he lunges forward, arm cocked, shouting as he throws a punch aimed straight for Bai Yifan's face. The ground cracks violently as Gao Ying crashes into it with full force, his missed punch sending shockwaves through the courtyard. Bai Yifan gracefully evades, already repositioned behind him. Gao Ying whips his head around, stunned. His expression is pure disbelief. He hadn't expected that dodge, not from someone he assumed was weak. The watching disciples are equally floored. Eyes wide, mouths open, they saw it clearly. Bai Yifan moved. Clean, fast, effortless. Another spectator mutters in shock, realizing the implications. If Bai Yifan can avoid an attack from Gao Ying, one of the top marrow-cleansing realm disciples, then he's clearly not just another pushover. Even the guy who mocked him earlier narrows his eyes. The gears in his head are turning. This wasn't what he expected at all. Gao Yang explodes with fury, flames bursting from his body as he dashes forward, yelling, daring Bai Yifan to repeat what he just said. His temper is about to hit max. Bai Yifan stands cool and unbothered, casually pointing as if nothing intense is happening. With a smug smile, he claps back with a savage offer. If Gao Yang kneels once, he gets 1 stone. Kneel 10 times. Get 10. It's pure mockery, served with a grin. Gao Yang's expression twists into rage and disbelief. Veins bulge, his whole face tenses up. That one comeback hit him harder than a punch. Gao Yang slams his foot down in fury, cracking the ground beneath him. He roars a threat, vowing that Bai Yifan will pay for daring to challenge him. Suddenly, a loud voice interrupts the standoff. Wei Liu charges onto the scene with panic and frustration, yelling out that he's going to report them to the elders if this continues. His dramatic arrival shifts the atmosphere instantly. Bai Yifan turns, surprised to see a familiar face. His eyes narrow slightly as he recognizes Wei Liu, confusion flickering behind his calm demeanor. Wei Liu storms up to Bai Yifan, demanding answers. He's stunned to find Bai Yifan here, accusing him of lying. Clearly this reunion is about to get messy. Wei Liu nervously tries to explain himself, saying Bai Yifan never mentioned his destination back then. Bai Yifan, calm and indifferent, replies with a simple, "That's right," clearly not taking the matter seriously. Suddenly, Gao Yang, burning with fury and flaming qi, charges straight at Bai Yifan, screaming in frustration at being ignored. His pride can't handle the cold shoulder. Bai Yifan doesn't even flinch. His gaze stays steady and uninterested as he watches the incoming attack. With a swift push of his arm, Bai Yifan shoves Wei Liu aside and calmly says, "Let's talk later." As if nothing serious is happening. His casual dismissal contrasts sharply with Gao Yang's explosive rage. Bai Yifan casually raises his hand, looking completely calm and detached. He says he just remembered something he has to take care of, clearly using it as an excuse to disengage from Gao Yang, brushing him off like he's not even worth his time. In a swift and dominant move, Bai Yifan grabs Gao Yang by the throat and lifts him off the ground effortlessly. Gao Yang flails mid-air, his eyes wide with panic as he chokes out in pain, completely caught off guard by the sheer power and control Bai Yifan displays. Gao Yang crashes to the ground, coughing and wheezing. His body folds inward as he clutches his neck, clearly shaken and humiliated. The pain is written all over his face. This wasn't just physical. It shattered his ego too. One of Gao Yang's subordinates watches from nearby, stunned speechless. His jaw drops, eyes wide, as he struggles to process what just happened. The fear and disbelief are clear. His boss just got handled like nothing. Bai Yifan maintains his usual cool and casual tone, but his grip on Gao Yang is merciless. He sarcastically suggests that Gao Yang should consider practicing martial ethics, mocking him for trying to launch a sneak attack earlier. With a grin, Bai Yifan chastises Gao Yang like a teacher scolding a student. He calmly states it's not very noble to ambush people from behind. All the while, he's still got Gao Yang restrained like it's effortless. A small crowd begins to gather, stunned by what they're seeing. One disciple gasps in disbelief, struggling to process the sight before him. Gao Yang, known for his arrogance and strength, being overpowered by a newcomer. Another subordinate cries out in panic, rushing toward the scene. He calls for Gao Yang desperately, his tone frantic and helpless. The camera shifts to a rear view of Bai Yifan, still calm and composed, while Gao Yang is writhing in his grasp. A nearby disciple nervously calls out Bai Yifan's name, clearly shaken by how easily he's dominating someone known to be powerful. Close-up of Gao Yang's face, twisted in pain. He's gasping for air, struggling to free himself, panic fully taking over. His pride is gone. All that's left is fear and desperation as he pleads for release. Bai Yifan speaks with an exaggerated tone of disappointment, his eyes narrowing in a sarcastic pout. He mockingly acts like the victim, saying he only meant well and would have lent the spirit stone if Gao Yang had just apologized. His expression says otherwise. He's enjoying every second of turning the tables. Still holding Gao Yang with ease, Bai Yifan feigns consideration for Gao Yang's dignity. He suggests that, since Gao is a senior, saving face must be important to him. His tone is condescendingly generous, like he's offering mercy, but it only adds insult to injury. Gao Yang's eyes widen with panic and confusion. He doesn't know what Bai Yifan is planning, but he knows it's not going to end well. The situation has slipped completely out of his control, and the fear shows clearly on his face. Bai Yifan smiles with wicked charm, now flipping the script entirely. Still gripping Gao Yang effortlessly, he leans in and softly asks to borrow spirit stones, throwing Gao's own words back at him with a chilling grin. It's not a question. It's domination dressed in sarcasm. Gao Yang tries to protest, barely getting a word out. But Bai Yifan doesn't give him the chance. His grip stays firm, and his expression doesn't even change. Internally, Gao's frustration boils. He can't believe he's not even allowed to talk back. Bai Yifan tilts his head slightly, voice laced with false sympathy. He assumes Gao Yang is too embarrassed to apologize, and brushes it off like he understands. But the look in his eyes? That's not sympathy. It's deliberate provocation. With calm and precision, Bai Yifan reaches out. His fingers move with intent, and that faint gleam on his nails signals what's coming. Gao Yang doesn't even have time to react. Bai Yifan turns with a relaxed, confident smile, casually showing off the stolen spirit stones. They hang in full view, and he looks absolutely unbothered, as if this were all part of his daily routine. His calm demeanor contrasts with the chaos behind him, adding to the insult. Without breaking his flow, Bai Yifan grabs Gao Yang mid-charge and throws him over his shoulder with ease. Still grinning, he mockingly thanks him for his generosity, clearly having fun as he publicly embarrasses him. Gao Yang crashes into the ground hard, sprawled out with zero grace. The impact is loud and dramatic, leaving his men stunned and silent, their expressions a mix of disbelief and panic. Gao Yang's subordinates rush over, panicked, checking if their senior brother is okay. He's laid out on the ground, completely unconscious. One of them leans in and nervously confirms he's passed out cold. Bai Yifan tosses the stolen spirit stones to two bystanders. With a calm, almost disinterested tone, he tells them to return the stones to their rightful owners. He casually assumes Gao Yang's daily routine involved robbing others. The two bystanders are surprised by the gesture. They weren't expecting to receive all of it. One of them even asks if Bai Yifan's really not keeping any for himself, clearly impressed. Bai Yifan turns, eyes sharp and voice flat. He says he doesn't need any, and immediately changes the subject with a sly grin, asking if there weren't a couple more rats around here. A trio of Gao Yang's lackeys freeze mid-step. Sweat drips down their faces. They've just been spotted, and they know exactly what's coming next. Gao Yang's remaining lackeys, terrified, drop to their knees and offer up all their spirit stones. Bai Yifan stands tall, arms crossed, commanding them to place the stones on the ground and roll. The trio now lies flat on the ground mid-roll, tumbling awkwardly across the pavement. One nervously asks the other if their rolling posture looks okay, clearly afraid of doing even that wrong. Bai Yifan, unimpressed, tells them to scram. One of them stammers a reply, soaked in sweat, grateful to escape. A short distance away, one of Gao Yang's followers grits his teeth and mutters a bitter promise. Bai Yifan will pay for this humiliation. Bai Yifan's eyes sharpen. He turns slightly, as if catching something odd in the wind, and questions aloud what he just felt. His gaze locks onto something down the path, and the word, empty, flashes across the bottom. Something's off, and Yifan knows it. Wei Liu walks beside Bai Yifan, smiling with genuine admiration. He admits he misjudged Yifan back on the cloud boat and thought he needed protection. Now, after witnessing Yifan's strength, he sees things differently. Wei Liu looks concerned. He brings up Gao Yang and asks if Yifan's not worried about retaliation. After all, humiliating someone like Gao Yang in public could have serious consequences. Bai Yifan calmly explains that a man like Gao Yang, proud and arrogant, won't show his face after such disgrace. He believes Gao Yang's pride will keep him quiet. He's more afraid of embarrassment than revenge. Yifan's expression sharpens, radiating determination. His inner monologue reveals that he's not afraid of trouble. If Gao Yang dares to stir up trouble again, he'll follow it through to the end, no matter what. Wei Liu puts a hand on Yifan's shoulder, excited. He praises Yifan, saying it's the second time he's been impressed. He also brings up a group assignment and invites Yifan to join, mentioning that there's just one slot left. Bai Yifan tilts his head slightly, brows narrowing with curiosity. His voice is calm but firm as he questions Wei Liu about the task he's referring to. There's a slight edge of suspicion in his tone. Wei Liu leads Bai Yifan toward the sect's courtyard. The surroundings glow under the warm sunlight, setting a peaceful contrast to what he's about to explain. Wei Liu begins explaining their mission. Bai Yifan listens attentively as he reveals that their assignment is tied to something serious. It's not a simple errand. The scene shifts dramatically to a blood-red battlefield. Wei Liu narrates. On the southern border of Wei, a general named Yan Shizhong is suspected of conspiring with the demon race. He's accused of treason, using blood art, and even targeting innocent civilians. Chaos erupts in the background, with soldiers clashing and bloodshed staining the ground. Wei Liu explains the mission. Though it's categorized as low-level, the reward is still impressive. 60 contribution points each for capturing the traitor. He presents it like a solid opportunity, especially for newcomers. Bai Yifan nods thoughtfully. For a low-level task, 300 contribution points in total sounds like a fair deal. Definitely worth considering. Standing in front of a grand hall, Wei Liu gestures confidently. "Let me introduce you," he says, signaling toward a few familiar figures waiting inside. Inside the hall, Bai Yifan sees 3 disciples seated together. Wei Liu introduces them casually. Luao, Zhang Tai, and Shen Xinyu, his friends from the neighborhood. Their postures are relaxed, and they greet Bai Yifan with mild curiosity and friendly smiles. Inside the meeting hall, Wei Liu cheerfully introduces Bai Yifan to the group. He mentions they met on the cloud boat, and that Bai Yifan is from the Yan state. Bai Yifan greets everyone with a calm, "Nice to meet you," hands clasped politely. Luao's face tightens. With a sharp tongue she throws shade at Wei Liu for finally bringing Bai Yifan, someone she clearly sees as unqualified. Her tone carries an undercurrent of resentment. Still cold, Luao questions Bai Yifan's worth, pointing out he used the Order of Ascension to enter without passing the exam, and that his cultivation level was low. Bai Yifan says nothing but narrows his eyes. His gaze sharpens, not angry, just unreadable. It's clear he's sizing her up. Wei Liu quickly tries to smooth things over, explaining Bai Yifan may not be high-level but has real combat strength, claiming his own eyes wouldn't lie. Bai Yifan, still poised, responds lightly but pointedly. If senior brother Lu had such high qualifications, he must have read a lot of books. His calm tone carries a subtle bite, making it clear he's not one to be dismissed easily. Luao narrows his eyes, trying to make sense of Bai Yifan's previous remark. His face is stern and probing, clearly not amused as he asks for clarification. Bai Yifan, totally unfazed, lifts his cup with a smirk. He casually leans back, mocking Luao's earlier comment by referencing a trope from a book, saying that anyone who speaks like that usually ends up with a swollen face. He's cool and confident, clearly enjoying poking the bear. Luao instantly snaps. His hand slams the table as he shoots to his feet, eyes blazing. His outburst, directed at Bai Yifan, is loud enough to draw everyone's attention. The atmosphere gets tense. Zhang Ti quickly steps in, waving his hand and urging everyone to cool down. Shen Xinyu, also standing, gently pleads with Luao to calm himself. They both try to de-escalate the situation before things blow up. Shen Xinyu gently steps in, trying to cool things down. Her tone is soft but steady as she says that at their cultivation level, it's already good if they can find someone dependable. She adds that she trusts Brother Lu's judgment, clearly trying to smooth over the rising tension. Luao explodes with sarcasm. He throws his hands in the air dramatically, bitterly shouting that he's obviously the only one to blame. The way he storms toward the exit makes it obvious. His ego's taken a hit, and he's not handling it well. Still fuming, Luau grits out a harsh insult. He says he can't believe he actually counted on someone from the glutton bloodline to find anyone decent. His anger's boiling over now as he barks at the group to get ready. They're leaving. Meanwhile, Wei Liu clenches his fist, visibly angry. His expression says it all. Luau's crossed the line. Bai Yifan, calm and collected as always, turns to the group and asks with quiet curiosity, "Glutton bloodline? What is that?" Around him, the mood is tense. The others look surprised and maybe even a little unsure how to answer. A disciple casually questions Bai Yifan, reminding him that since he's friends with Liu Wei, he should already know about the glutton bloodline. The tone is slightly teasing, like they're surprised Bai Yifan is still clueless about something so obvious. The scene shifts as the disciple starts explaining. We see a fierce visual of Liu Wei's face partially merging with the image of a beast. This symbolizes the power of his bloodline. The glutton bloodline originates from the ancient creature Tao Ti, known in legend for its endless hunger and terrifying strength. The explanation deepens. Liu Wei is shown clad in armor with the Tao Ti spirit hovering near, surrounded by flames and wild energy. This image emphasizes how rare and powerful the glutton bloodline is. It's not just about eating, it's about inheriting the hunger and power of a mythical beast. The tone lightens slightly as we shift to a more down-to-earth scene. Liu Wei happily devouring bowls of food. The others explain that people born with this bloodline have had enormous appetites since childhood. It's a physical trait tied to their lineage. The final panel clarifies the core of Liu Wei's cultivation. His power increases based on what and how much he eats. The higher the energy or spiritual content in the food, the faster his cultivation progresses. For Liu Wei, food is fuel. Literally. Shen Xinyu starts off calmly but firmly, pointing out the downside of the glutton bloodline. While it might sound powerful, it's also seen as a burden, because of the massive resources it requires. Her tone is a bit sympathetic, but also realistic. She explains further, the amount of resources someone with this bloodline needs to cultivate is dozens or even hundreds of times more than a normal cultivator. And the stronger they get, the worse the consumption becomes. In short, it's a dangerous, expensive path that can easily become unsustainable. The bald disciple chimes in, adding a practical example. He says that even the elites of the Holy Land, if given the same resources as a glutton bloodline cultivator, could achieve far more, like reaching the same realm 100 times over. His tone is blunt, almost dismissive, emphasizing how wasteful the bloodline can be. He tries to keep going, but gets cut off mid-rant. Shen Xinyu, clearly annoyed, grabs his head and tells him to shut up for talking too much. The slapstick tone here lightens the mood just a bit, showing Liu Wei's personality. He's not afraid to silence anyone who badmouths him. Liu Wei then steps forward and addresses it all seriously. He says he's understood the reality of his condition since he was a child. Despite being born with this disadvantage, he was still given a place as an outer disciple. He's not bitter. Instead, he sees this as motivation. As long as there's a chance, he plans to fight for better resources and prove himself. The bald disciple, no longer upset, puts a hand on Liu Wei's shoulder and supports him. He says that even if Liu Wei lacks the resources now, no one will look down on him if he keeps striving. His tone is sincere, clearly moved by Liu Wei's resolve. Shen Xinyu stands beside them, now smiling gently in support. Bai Yifan pauses in thought, reflecting on cultivation resources. His expression is serious. He's thinking long-term, considering broader implications rather than short-term gains. He comments that while he won't claim to know everything, the cultivation resources across the land are vast and practically endless. Even if the 10 Holy Lands joined forces, they wouldn't match what the natural world has to offer. His words suggest a mindset far beyond the sect's current limitations. After Liu Wei's heartfelt vow to fight for cultivation resources no matter the odds, his two companions enthusiastically chime in with, "We like you." It's an emotional moment. Liu Wei, genuinely moved, smiles and says, "Thank you," clearly touched by their support. It marks a moment of camaraderie and validation for him. Bai Yifan brings everyone back to reality. He calmly explains that even though the potential is there, Now isn't the right time to make a move. Timing matters, and rushing into things could cause more harm than good. He elaborates. Liu Wei's current status in the sect is still fragile. If he suddenly starts using rare or high-grade resources, it could draw suspicion. Others might interrogate him about their origin, putting him in a risky position. Bai Yifan finishes with a strategic note. For now, it's best to observe quietly. He sees Liu Wei as someone loyal and worth trusting, but that trust and opportunity need to be nurtured carefully before making any big moves. The tension lifts. Liu Wei, bright and cheerful again, waves and calls out to Bai Yifan, telling him it's time to go. With that, the group begins to move forward, more united than before, with a subtle but growing sense of purpose among them. The setting shifts to a quiet forest clearing at the border of Wei State. Bai Yifan and the rest of the team gather around a map spread out on the ground. The tone is more serious now. This is a strategic mission briefing. One of the disciples points to the map and explains that Yang Shizhong, the target of their mission, is currently at the middle stage of the marrow cleansing realm. That places him well above average in terms of cultivation, making him no pushover. We get a visual of Yang Shizhong drawn onto the map, depicted as an older but intimidating figure. The disciple explains further. He has 4 major commanders under him. They're each only at the peak of the blood transformation realm, slightly weaker than him, but still dangerous as a group. The real threat, however, lies not in the commanders, but in Yang Shizhong's authority. He has the power to mobilize 300,000 elite troops at any time. The team is stunned by the number. That kind of military force can't be taken lightly. Everyone's eyes widen in disbelief, especially Bai Yifan, who reacts with shock. The sheer scale of troops changes the entire mission's difficulty. Bai Yifan narrows his eyes, now in full analysis mode. He reflects that no matter how skilled an individual may be, 2 fists can't defeat 4 hands. Even if the enemy soldiers are only at the body-tempering realm, their sheer number would make them extremely difficult to deal with in open combat. It's not just about power anymore, it's a tactical problem. The group continues their strategic discussion in the forest. One of the disciples concludes that their mission can't be handled head-on. The target's power and resources are too vast. It'll have to be done in secret, relying on stealth rather than brute force. Another disciple agrees, confirming the approach. Open confrontation would be suicide. They're dealing with a high-level cultivator backed by elite troops. Subtlety is their only viable path. They go over their intel again. Yang Shizhong has allegedly collaborated with the demon race and is practicing forbidden blood arts. Because of the risk involved, the sect suspects he may flee at any time. Their job isn't just to confront him, it's to gather solid proof of his crimes. Bai Yifan listens calmly, then gives a single nod and says, "Good." His expression is steady and composed. He's ready for whatever comes next. The team now seems more focused, their roles clear. The scene transitions dramatically. The lush forest fades into a fortified compound, General's mansion, the target's domain. It's guarded by rows of heavily armed soldiers, highlighting the danger that lies ahead. One of the disciples, likely acting as lookout or scout, confirms that they've reached the destination. Ahead is the General's mansion, he says, and just like that, the infiltration mission is about to begin. The team prepares to infiltrate the heavily guarded General's mansion. One of them quickly calls out the command to use the chi-concealing talismans, special items meant to mask their presence and suppress their spiritual energy to avoid detection. Close-up on hands quickly activating the talismans. Each team member takes one and sticks it onto themselves. The atmosphere is tense but focused. Everyone knows what's at stake. With the talismans active, the group's aura becomes faint and masked by glowing blue energy. They begin moving fast and silently, cloaked by the concealment technique. "Let's go!" rings out as they rush forward in perfect sync. As they bolt across the open courtyard, the concealment seems to be holding for now. But the presence of armed guards patrolling the area adds tension. The group moves like shadows, trying to avoid detection while closing in on their objective. One of the armored guards furrows his brow and glances sideways, a puzzled look on his face. Though cloaked by the chi-concealing talismans, the group's movement stirs the air just enough to make him uneasy. He senses something, but not enough to act on it yet. Another guard comments aloud about the sudden shift in wind, calling it strange. The soldiers remain on alert but ultimately dismiss it as nothing unusual. The concealment talismans are holding. Barely. Time shifts toward dusk, the sky bathed in warm orange tones. The infiltration continues in silence as tension thickens. Now high above the ground, the cloaked disciples sprint across the rooftops as the sky darkens. One of them signals the next move. It's time to locate Yang Shizhong. They've successfully snuck in, but the hardest part is just beginning. Shen Xinyu, eyes glowing with excitement and urgency, announces that she's found the target. Her gaze is locked ahead, focused and certain. She confirms it out loud. Yang Shizhong is right there. The team's long search has paid off. The mission has officially entered its next phase: direct confrontation or shadow pursuit. Down below, Yang Shizhong makes a commanding entrance. Dressed in ornate gold-plated armor, he radiates presence and authority. Soldiers greet him with respect. "General, you're back," showing that he's not just a target, but a revered leader. Yang Shizhong responds with casual confidence, telling them to move out. His tone is composed, unaware that enemies are already watching from the shadows. His armor and posture give off the air of a seasoned and dangerous cultivator. Night has fallen over the general's mansion. A calm, quiet mood settles in. Inside, things seem peaceful, at least on the surface. A middle-aged woman, dressed in elegant robes, gently advises Yang Shizhong to take care of himself. She mentions the hot weather and tells him not to overwork himself with military drills or cultivation. Her tone is warm, clearly filled with concern. Yang Shizhong responds politely, saying he's been busy with military duties lately. But if he finishes early, he'll make time to have dinner with her. His expression is calm, almost soft. This is a very different side of the feared general. The woman's tone shifts to sadness as she brings up someone named Susu. She says that if Susu were still around, she wouldn't feel so lonely. Her face shows a deep sense of loss and longing. This line hints at a tragic backstory or a missing family member. Yang Shizhong stands up, quietly turning away. Without directly acknowledging her grief, he says he's going to go practice. His expression is unreadable, either avoiding the emotion or hiding something deeper. The moment is subtly interrupted, leaving a sense of emotional distance between them. As Yang Shizhong steps out of the hall, the woman behind him reaches out and calls after him. "Master!" Her voice is soft, almost pleading. She's hoping to say more, but he keeps walking. Yang Shizhong suddenly pauses mid-step. Something's off. His instincts kick in. He feels a shift in the air. He turns his head slightly, alert. His expression sharpens as he mutters, A sense of suspicion rises. He sensed something nearby. We see what he's reacting to. Bai Yifan's group, still cloaked in chi-concealing energy, standing completely still. They're hidden from normal sight, but Yang Shizhong is powerful enough that something seems to have tipped him off. From the group's perspective, panic sets in. He's looking our way. Their stealth may have just been compromised. What was supposed to be a clean infiltration now hangs by a thread. The team stays perfectly still, tension rising. Yang Shizhong glances toward them, and the disciples grow anxious. His gaze is sharp, and for a moment, it feels like he might have noticed them. Yang Shizhong turns away and begins walking, using a light movement technique. His body shifts smoothly through the moonlit courtyard, leaving the group uncertain whether he truly sensed them or not. The team realizes they're still concealed and immediately prepares to move. Their formation stays tight, maintaining stealth as they track his movements. With their concealment still intact, the group follows him from behind, carefully matching his pace. Their infiltration now shifts into surveillance, staying close while avoiding detection. Yang Shizhong walks into a quiet, secluded hall. The area is dimly lit, and his steps echo through the open corridor. The setting suggests secrecy. This place is not part of the main compound. He closes the doors behind him, sealing off the room. The atmosphere grows heavier. This isn't just routine. Something concealed is about to unfold. He approaches a table and subtly rotates a porcelain vase. The movement is precise and practiced, as if he's done it many times before. This action clearly serves as a hidden mechanism. The room responds to the trigger. There's a low rumble as a hidden entrance opens in the floor. A staircase reveals itself beneath the table, leading into darkness. At the base of the steps, a hidden underground passage is now fully visible. The presence of this secret path confirms there's more to the General's operations than anyone suspects. The group watching from the shadows has discovered something critical. Yang Shizhong descends into the hidden underground passage. His figure disappears into the secret chamber below, leaving the room above completely still. The group watching waits for the right moment. The room above returns to silence. The vase mechanism sits innocently in place, hiding all signs that anything unusual just happened. The team huddles together in a low whisper. Luao takes the lead, suggesting that they hold off on any rash moves until they gather more information. It's clear they're trying to be strategic. They know what's at stake and want to act at the right time. Time passes. Yang Shizhong hasn't re-emerged, and the group begins to worry. One of the disciples expresses concern, wondering whether to follow him or wait longer. Their anxiety builds. They don't want to lose track of him, but going in blindly could be a trap. Luao makes the call. Based on what they've seen so far, he believes Yang Shizhong is acting recklessly. The decision is made. They'll enter the secret passage too. Their stealth mission is turning into a direct pursuit. The scene shifts underground into a massive, ominous chamber. The dim lighting and eerie red glow make it clear. This is no ordinary hidden room. It's a full-scale dungeon, deeply buried beneath the General's mansion. The group descends further, cautiously moving in formation. The size of the dungeon surprises them. It's far bigger than they expected for something hidden beneath a single building. Their leader urges everyone to stay close and remain alert. Tension rises as the environment grows darker and more oppressive. The group, sensing danger, could be anywhere. Bai Yifan pauses. Something catches his attention. A strong, distinct scent in the air. His expression hardens as he tries to place it. It hits him. The air is thick with the smell of blood. It's not just faint. It's overwhelming. That confirms their suspicion. Whatever dark cultivation technique Yang Shizhong is practicing down here, it's tied to blood rituals. Their intel was right. And now, things just got more dangerous. The group cautiously explores the blood-soaked chamber. One of the disciples spots something alarming ahead, prompting everyone to stop and look. Her expression shifts from alert to horrified. A large, dark pool lies ahead, thick, red, and still. It's unmistakably blood. The air is heavy with the stench of iron and death, and a chilling energy lingers around it. More disturbing details come into view. Scattered throughout the blood are countless skeletons, some shattered, others still intact. The sheer number suggests a horrifying truth. This place has seen mass slaughter. The group realizes Yang Shizhong has likely sacrificed a tremendous number of lives for his cultivation. As the group observes the horrifying scene, one of them senses a powerful presence. It's not just the stench of blood anymore. There's an unnatural force in the air, one that reeks of demonic energy. The atmosphere turns oppressive and vile. Chained to the pillars around the chamber are muscular, corpse-like bodies, each one labeled and clearly in the process of being transformed. Their twisted forms suggest they're being used as vessels for some forbidden ritual. At the center, Yang Shizhong sits calmly amidst the carnage. He's not just absorbing power. He's actively refining corpses. His cultivation method isn't just brutal. It's dark, twisted, and inhuman. This confirms the worst. He's fully embraced demonic arts. Luao, expression sharp and focused, begins assigning orders to the team. Knowing how dangerous the situation is, he directs each member to take a position around the chamber. They prepare to strike from all sides in a synchronized ambush. Just as the group prepares to strike, Yang Shizhong's voice cuts through the air. He's fully aware of their presence, revealing that their concealment was pointless. The ambush has been completely compromised. The entire team reacts in shock. Their expressions show disbelief and panic. They didn't expect to be discovered so easily, especially not before launching an attack. Yang Shizhong wastes no time. A violent surge of energy explodes from his position, forcing the group to retreat. A powerful attack crashes toward them with overwhelming speed and force. The group narrowly avoids the blast. The attack shreds through the air and forces them to reveal themselves completely. Stealth is no longer an option. This is now a full-on confrontation. One of the disciples questions how they were discovered so easily. Doubt and unease creep in. Yang Shizhong's awareness and strength were far greater than they anticipated. Yang Shizhong glares at them with cold amusement. From his expression, it's clear he doesn't see them as a threat, just naive intruders. His confidence shows he's not intimidated at all, and he's already preparing to retaliate. Lu Ao steps forward and accuses Yang Shizhong of his crimes. He calls out the blood sacrifices, the collaboration with demons, and the dark cultivation method. The accusation is formal and direct. It's a declaration of justice from the disciples of the Fire Element's Holy Land. Yang Shizhong is initially amused by the claim. His expression is almost entertained. The fact that disciples from a holy sect are here seems to interest him rather than alarm him. It shows how confident and twisted he's become. Bai Yifan senses something off. His instincts spike as he feels a dangerous aura building. The atmosphere changes quickly, and his expression turns grim. He realizes that the threat is even worse than they thought. Yang Shizhong's true intent becomes clearer. He doesn't see the disciples as enemies. He sees them as resources. Their power and cultivation level would make excellent material for his blood puppet technique. His aura flares with red demonic energy, and his eyes burn with murderous intent. Bai Yifan and Liu Wei rush forward, but the realization hits. This entire setup was deliberate. Yang Shizhong didn't just spot them by accident. He lured them in, knowing they'd come. Before they can react, the chamber doors behind them slam shut with a deafening thud. They're trapped, cut off from retreat. The red glow intensifies, signaling that a ritual or formation has already begun. Yang Shizhong raises both arms as dark red energy erupts around him. He begins channeling power, declaring his intent to use them as offerings. The sacrificial ritual is underway, his expression twisted in glee. The disciples waste no time. Swords drawn and formation tight, they launch into action together. Surrounded by danger, they now fight not just to win, but to survive. Liu Wei and Shen Xinyu prepare to charge in and assist the others, but Bai Yifan quickly stops them. He senses something is off and warns them not to act impulsively. At that exact moment, the sound of chains tightening and snapping echoes across the chamber. The restrained corpses, previously bound to stone pillars, begin to stir. Chains break one after another as all 4 labeled corpses violently awaken. Their eyes glow red, and their monstrous strength is on full display as they break free from confinement. Now unchained, the refined corpses begin charging forward with unnatural speed and rage. These aren't ordinary undead. They're enhanced, demonic puppets created through forbidden cultivation. The disciples immediately recognize the threat. The release of these blood-refined corpses marks a deadly shift in the battle. The real fight has only just begun, and now they're outnumbered. The disciples leap into action, but they're caught off guard by the speed of the charging corpses. These reanimated bodies move with terrifying agility, far faster than normal undead. One of the disciples urgently pulls the others back to avoid the initial strike. The sheer force behind the attack causes the ground to crack, revealing the corpse's monstrous strength. The situation quickly spirals. It's clear these aren't typical zombies. The corpses strike with precise explosive power, their red-tinged energy marking them as demonic constructs rather than mindless undead. The disciples try to hold the line, but the impact throws them off balance. One of them is already wounded. It's now undeniable. They're not facing simple puppets. They're up against demon-imbued killing machines. One of the disciples clashes directly with a refined corpse, his blade colliding with unnatural strength. The corpse evades with shocking speed, leaving the disciple gritting his teeth in frustration. The group is surrounded. Despite their best efforts, the demonic corpses aren't going down easily. Their bodies are unusually durable, and each attack feels like it barely makes a dent. Amid the chaos, one disciple suffers a direct hit. He stumbles back, clutching his wound, blood visible. Shen Xinyu and Liu Wei immediately rush to check on him. Despite his injury, the wounded disciple holds himself together and stays standing. He refuses to back out of the fight, clearly determined to keep going no matter the cost. Lu Ao, fully drawn and focused, charges forward toward Yang Shizhong. His resolve sharpens. He's no longer holding back. Fueled by fury and righteousness, he prepares to confront the one responsible for the monstrous ritual. Bai Yifan closely analyzes the battlefield. His sharp gaze reflects concern. He's starting to piece together exactly what they're up against, and it's worse than expected. He deduces that the enemies aren't ordinary corpses. These are refined puppets, reanimated bodies bound by a specific spell to obey commands. But this isn't just necromancy. It's something darker. One of the corpses suspended in red energy is shown, bound by chains, but still radiating power. Bai Yifan notes that the 4 demon puppets are each in the middle stage of the marrow cleansing realm, which is equivalent to elite-level cultivators. Another refined corpse is shown. Massive, wrapped in glowing chains, floating in a ritual formation. Whatever this one is, it's beyond the others. Clearly, something Yang Shizhong has put more effort into. Back above, Bai Yifan reflects grimly. The scale of what they've uncovered, demonic arts, blood rituals, elite corpse puppets, is far beyond a simple mission. He knows they're in deep, and it's only getting worse. Yang Shizhong issues a direct command to his refined puppets. The 4 demon corpses, labeled 1 through 4, respond immediately, launching into action like predators released from a leash. The corpses snarl and charge toward the disciples. Their movements are fast, unnatural, and filled with bloodlust. There's no hesitation, only blind aggression. Chaos erupts as the corpses descend on the group. Each disciple scrambles into position to intercept the attacks. Swords clash, bodies spin, and energy flares with every motion. Lu Ao leads the counterattack. With unwavering resolve, he steps forward to strike first, determined to push back the monsters. His killing intent is clear. This isn't about survival anymore. It's personal. One of the demon puppets lets out a monstrous roar as it's struck down mid-attack. A disciple lands a clean blow, believing they've successfully eliminated one of the threats. Yang Shizhong watches calmly and with disdain. He casually raises his hand, clearly unbothered by the puppet's apparent defeat. His posture exudes control and arrogance. With a single gesture, Yang Shizhong activates a technique. A dark red aura rushes toward the fallen corpse, surrounding it with a demonic energy swirl. The aura is thick, pulsing like blood. To the disciple's shock, the puppet labeled 3 begins to rise again. Its body, previously limp, is now regenerating. The damage is being undone right before their eyes. Yang Shizhong's demonic art doesn't just strengthen his puppets. It makes them almost unkillable. The group looks stunned as the defeated corpse begins to recover. Panic sets in. Their efforts are being undone right in front of them. The sheer resilience of these puppets shifts the tone of the battle completely. Lu Ao and Liu Wei are at the front of the formation, urgently evaluating the situation. Lu Ao stays composed but focused, while Liu Wei looks visibly tense. They know brute force won't win this, and time is running out. A strategic decision has to be made now. Lu Ao takes the lead. He quickly pulls out a talisman, charged with powerful artifact energy. He knows they need to go for the source instead of the puppets. Their best shot is breaking Yang Shizhong's control. The talisman activates with a surge of bright purple lightning. It's a high-grade tool meant for disrupting bindings or control spells, perfect for severing the link between puppet and master. The weapon launches forward with deadly precision, but Yang Shizhong intercepts it effortlessly. He blocks the incoming energy without flinching, his expression full of contempt. His eyes lock onto Lu Ao with recognition. He's marked him as the biggest threat on the battlefield. Yang Shizhong sneers, unfazed by the attack. He taunts the group, effortlessly flipping the artifact talisman with one hand. The swirling violet lightning bends to his will. He's not just resisting it, he's about to turn it back. With a flick of his hand, he redirects the talisman. The energy now pulses with destructive force, arcing through the air like a cursed spear. It slams into Lu Ao, sending him flying backward. The impact is brutal. His body twists from the force, and pain flashes across his face. He's completely caught off guard by the overwhelming power behind the counterattack. The rest of the group reacts with horror. Liu Wei calls out as Lu Ao crashes down, bloodied. The disciples start to realize the gap in strength is far greater than they were led to believe. Lu Ao, battered but conscious, pulls himself up. His expression turns grim as he comes to a chilling conclusion. The strength Yang Shizhong just displayed surpasses what they expected. He isn't at the marrow-cleansing realm at all. He's already stepped into the enlightenment realm. Liu Wei stands frozen, panic setting in. The weight of defeat crushes his spirit as he stares at Luo's downed figure. For a moment, he believes it's all over. If even Luo, their strongest, has fallen, what hope do the rest of them have? On the altar, Yang Shizhong issues his next command. The refined corpses begin to move with new intent. Their next target isn't just to kill, it's to capture. He wants more sacrifices, and the blood pool hungers. The puppet labeled 2 lifts a disciple while 1 charges forward. The battlefield tilts in Yang Shizhong's favor as the disciples are forced back toward the ritual formation. Their backs inch closer to the pool of blood. Liu Wei turns to Shen Xinyu and the bald disciple, fear plainly written on his face. He asks aloud what none of them want to admit. Are we going to die here? It's a moment of helplessness, a breath before the final blow. Then, everything changes. A sudden burst of blue light streaks across the scene. A blade flashes, and a figure cuts through the air with pinpoint speed and precision. Yang Shizhong reacts with surprise. His eyes narrow as he catches sight of the newcomer mid-strike. Bai Yifan. Using his advanced movement technique, Yifan enters the battlefield in the blink of an eye, his steps leaving behind a glowing crescent-like trail. Bai Yifan unleashes a powerful lightning strike. His blade surges with energy and tears through the air like a thunderbolt. The moment it lands, the entire battlefield lights up with piercing blue light. A flash of lightning explodes across the altar. The power of the strike hits its target with precision. Yang Shizhong himself. A scream of pure agony echoes as everyone turns toward the sound in shock. Liu Wei and the others freeze. Their eyes widen in disbelief as they see what just happened. Even Yang Shizhong, the seemingly untouchable enemy, wasn't able to block Bai Yifan's blow. Yang Shizhong clutches the side of his arm. Blood pours from the wound. His entire hand has been severed by Bai Yifan's lightning-fast strike. His face twists in pain, then fury. The general's rage explodes. Having underestimated Bai Yifan, he's now consumed by hatred. His glare locks onto Yifan, and killing intent pours from his body like a storm ready to break loose. Bai Yifan's sudden strike didn't just turn the tide, it humiliated Yang Shizhong. The battle's about to get personal. Bai Yifan charges forward again, his movement fluid and sharp. His blade arcs through the air, channeling concentrated spiritual energy as he prepares to unleash another technique. With a swift motion, Bai Yifan activates the rain sword technique. Dozens of blade-shaped energy projectiles materialize and hover in the air around him like floating daggers, each glowing with deadly precision. The blades rain down in rapid succession, targeting Yang Shizhong from multiple angles. The technique is overwhelming, designed not just for power but to restrict movement and tear through defenses. But Yang Shizhong isn't done. He immediately summons a blood-red barrier, Blood Child, a defensive spell rooted in demonic energy. The shield expands outward, blocking the incoming storm of energy blades. His face is still twisted in pain from his earlier injury, but now, he's fully on guard. The storm of sword energy surges down like a lethal rain. One after another, the blades pierce through Yang Shizhong's Bloodchild barrier. The sound of impact echoes through the chamber as the spiritual swords begin cracking through the blood-red shield from every angle. Yang Shizhong's eye widens in shock. His thoughts race as he realizes the terrifying truth. Even the blood shield can't stop Bai Yifan's attack. The barrier that once made him feel invincible is now cracking before his eyes. With a deafening explosion of spiritual energy, the sword rain crashes down. The impact shakes the chamber, piercing through the defensive shield and slamming into the ground in a brilliant flash of blue and white light. As the light fades, the battlefield falls into stunned silence. The once fearsome demon puppets now lie motionless, bodies scattered and defeated. Their demonic energy is dissipating, and the twisted ritual is finally broken. The disciples look on, stunned. Bai Yifan's counterattack didn't just turn the tide. It obliterated the enemy's strongest weapons in one decisive blow. The scene turns solemn as Bai Yifan stands over Yang Shizhong, sword pointed directly at him. Yang is on his knees, bloodied and defeated. His defenses shattered, his army wiped out. He knows it's over. Bai Yifan delivers his final warning with unwavering dominance. As Yang tries to resist or rise again, Bai Yifan presses the sword closer, forcing him back down. His command is calm, but firm. There's no room for mercy. Not far behind, Shen Xinyu and Liu Wei watch with awe and disbelief. Shen covers her mouth, wide-eyed at the sight, while Liu Wei is frozen in place. Neither of them can believe what they're witnessing. Still in shock, Liu Wei mutters aloud the question everyone is thinking. How did Bai Yifan do it? The battlefield that once seemed hopeless is now under Bai Yifan's control, and his strength has stunned everyone. Yang Shizhong clutches his wound in disbelief, blood running down his arm. He's in shock. How could someone like Bai Yifan, armed with nothing more than a yellow-ranked sword, inflict this much damage? His pride as a high-ranking cultivator is shattered in that instant. His expression shifts from disbelief to bitter recognition. Through gritted teeth, he admits it. Bai Yifan might actually be worthy of the Holy Land. But this realization only fuels his rage further. With his eyes glowing a deep crimson, Yang Shizhong erupts in fury. His voice thunders with killing intent. He declares that this will be the end for Bai Yifan. The scene crackles with tension as his power begins to surge. Bai Yifan stands alert, sensing the sudden shift. His eyes narrow. He knows this isn't over. Yang Shizhong, wounded and furious, is about to go all in. Chains rattle as the final and most monstrous demon puppet breaks free. Larger and more imposing than the rest, it radiates raw aggression. The atmosphere tightens. Everyone realizes instantly this isn't just another puppet. Lu Ao shouts in alarm. Bai Yifan is in danger. The massive puppet, labeled 1, barrels forward with a thunderous roar, eyes locked on its target. It's unlike the others. Smarter, faster, and far more dangerous. Yang Shizhong, blood trailing down his face, smirks with dark satisfaction. This last puppet isn't just strong, it's been cultivated to the peak of the Enlightenment realm. A trump card no one saw coming. As the giant puppet charges straight at Bai Yifan with terrifying speed. Will Yifan be fast enough to counter it, or will this be the end? The next move decides everything. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on our next exciting recap. New videos will drop.